Good afternoon from Atlanta and ACC baseball on ESPN. Today, the second game of a three-game weekend series from Russ Chandler Stadium as the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets host the Clemson Tigers. Andy Demetrum, Matthew Crownover, great to have you with us on a gorgeous Saturday for baseball. Last night, Georgia Tech outlasted Clemson 8-7. It puts them in position today for their seventh straight ACC series win. With their win and North Carolina's loss to Virginia, the Jackets have opened up a one-game lead atop the Coastal. Tigers' loss drops them to 11-11 in the Atlantic Division. You could have not have asked for finer weather there in Midtown Atlanta. A terrific crowd, 77 degrees for the Tigers in number 13 Jackets. Let's take a look at the Tiger batting order, which lost last night despite out-hitting Georgia Tech 13-6. Begins with Sam Hall, followed by Davidson and Bird. Briar Hawkins DH's 4 hits yesterday for the freshman to raise his average above 300. Sharp, Hawkins, and Teodosio round things out. Clemson, as we noted, Matthew, a 13-6 advantage in hits, but mistakes continue to doom the Tigers.
Yes, on the mound, they gave away too many free passes, 8 walks, 1 hit by batter, and defensively, uncharacteristically, had 3 errors. So kind of hurt themselves, but got to give Georgia Tech a lot of credit. They were able to take advantage of their opportunities and won the ballgame.
And they will face a starter today who does not make a lot of mistakes. And that's the junior left-hander Connor Thomas. Record of 6-1 and ERA of 2.83, and opponents hitting a scant .243 against the returning All-ACC left-hander. Clemson counters with a lefty of its own in Matt Clark. Thomas last Saturday in a win over Virginia Tech. He didn't throw 8 innings, which was the second longest outing of his season. Also was touched up for 10 hits, which was a season high. 5 runs allowed, 4 of them earned, but 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. That's what you get with Connor Thomas, somebody who's going to fill up the zone, throw all 3 pitches for strikes.
Yes, he's a pitchability lefty, Andy. You know, he's able to throw his fastball both sides of the plate, 88 to 91. He's got a good changeup, slider, knows how to compete. And again, you see the strikeout to walk ratio. He's going to throw a lot of strikes and make the guys put it in play.
Sam Hall starts things off as we get game 2 of this series underway. Whacks it out towards Waddell at short. Unloads quickly and gets the speedy Hall for 1 out. Defensively for the Yellow Jackets, shapes up like this. You already know Waddell is playing at short. Hall, Wilhite, and Radcliffe across the outfield. Most notably on the infield, Tristan English is back at first base. He had missed the previous 5 games in the field after taking a hard hit by pitch in their series finale versus Boston College April the 9th. McCann, as usual, the battery made for Thomas. So 1 away now for Logan Davidson, the preseason All-American who belted his 12th home run of the season yesterday.
You know, really had a good day yesterday. Was able to hit the ball hard 3 times, 1 double and 1 home run to go along for his day.
Lofty preseason billing for the junior, and has done nothing to stray from that as he takes strike 2 on the outside corner. Olindo Matia calls our balls and strikes today.
Again, you see a good early example of Thomas throwing his changeup and being able to throw it when he wants to, where he wants to.
Fouled off the plate, and Davidson stays alive. Clemson at 26-17 overall, now 11-11 in the ACC. Their struggles have been well documented. Despite that win over Tennessee Tech on Wednesday, they've still dropped 9 of their last 10. There's still a chance to claim a road series, and a swing and a miss rings up Davidson.
You know, Thomas, that's one of the best things he does. Been to watch film on him. He throws that back foot slider to the right-handed batter very, very well late in the count. You saw him getting frustrated there on the 0-2 one because they didn't get all the way to the back foot in there. A very good pitch to a very good hitter.
70th punch out of the season for Thomas. 2 up and 2 down in the Tiger first. And here is Grayson Bird. Some changes across the Clemson outfield. Bo Mikowski is out of the lineup today. Sam Hall takes over his spot in right field. Bird starts in left as he skies this into foul territory. Webb drifts over. Wynn giving it a ride. Up against the railing, and Webb makes the grab.
What a great play.
Now some of those youngsters got up close and personal with Jackson Webb. It's a 1-2-3 for Thomas. Just underway in Atlanta. One more look at a Webb gem from Jackson Webb. Jackets come to bat next. Time for the Jackets' turn at the plate. Here's how Danny Hall shapes up his batting order. Waddell leads off. Michael Goldberg is back at DH, batting second. Kyle McCann cracked his 16th home run yesterday, catching and batting third with English behind him. Radcliffe, Hall, Wilhite, Webb, and Nick Wilhite round out Georgia Tech's 9. He may not have the velocity of Connor Thomas, but he operates in a very similar fashion. He's Clemson starter, the redshirt sophomore from Hilton Head, South Carolina, Matt Clark, and he's got some good numbers on this 2019 season, Matthew. 7-1 and ERA of 2.84.
He really has pitched well this year. Had a little hiccup there at Florida State. Had some discomfort in his arm, but he didn't pitch last weekend. He's able to come back there. They think he's okay now, and looking to give the Tigers a big lift. When he pitches well, usually the Tigers have a good weekend.
He has held opponents to a 196 batting average on the season. You'd noted scratched from his start last weekend at Duke as a precaution and suffered his first loss of the season the previous Saturday versus Florida State. Allowed 5 earned runs across a season-low 3 1/3. Began the year as a reliever and has settled in nicely for Monty Lee as his number 2 starter. One of those guys who's more than content to let batters get themselves out, right?
Yes, they talking to the coaching staff the last couple of weeks. One thing that he does, he throws everything out of the same window when it comes out of his hand. Fastball, changeup, breaking ball. So it's very hard to decipher for a batter what he is throwing because he can throw it in any count.
Drops in a strike to Luke Waddell. Leads off for the Yellow Jackets, batting .320.
The best way I can describe it is he's the most comfortable 0 for 3 you'll ever have. You'll go up there and you go, man, I really hit that ball well. Ends up being a like that ball right there. Then the next pitch guy hits a pop up in the infield, and they're shaking their head when they get back to the dugout. So, some reason guys just don't square him up as often, and he's been very, very effective in ACC play so far.
And he's ahead on Waddell, 0-2. Way down and missed. Takes care of Georgia Tech's leadoff man on 3 pitches.
Designated hitter, number 6.
Again, the key there, he got ahead. The key for Clemson today is not to put guys on for free. If they do that, they've got a chance. Walking 8 guys is very tough to come back. They almost did it last night, but very tough for your offense to stay in the game.
And here is a guy who, in addition to hitting for a high average, can also draw the free pass in Michael Goldberg. 384 average for the sophomore.
You had a very good game yesterday. Was able to put 2 bunts down, 1 for a hit, 1 for a sacrifice to move some guys over, and hit almost 400 in ACC play this year.
Chasing one in the dirt to make it 1-1. And Goldberg is 2 for his last 12. And yet the average sits at 384, but in that span he's also walked 6 times, so still finding a way to keep his on-base percentage healthy.
It's a big deal difference in going 1 for 3 with a walk or 1 for 4 with no walks.
Trying to bunt his way aboard, hugging the line, fielded at first by Sharp, and he lays the tag on Goldberg for the second out. I think couldn't guide that off the base path as much as he wanted to. Defensively for the Tigers, trying to shake off a 3-error opener last night. Bird, Teodosio, Hall across the outfield around the horn is Hawkins, Davidson, Green, and Sharp. And Kyle Wilkie will be the catcher for Clark.
McCann hit 2 balls really well yesterday. 1 for a sac fly to knock in a run, then a first pitch fastball that he was able to drive over the right field wall. Really impressive hitter up there.
A home run in back-to-back games for the junior from Sewanee, Georgia. 5 RBIs over his last 2 contests as he takes a fastball up and in for a ball. McCann still among the ACC leaders in home runs and walks. And he's ahead on Clark 2-0.
And these are the counts, if you're Clark, you want to stay out of to the meat of their order. Yesterday, this is the type of counts they were in that induced some late hits in the game.
Checked his swing on the bender, didn't catch the corner, now 3-0. Nice movement, though, on that breaking ball.
Yes, it was. That might have been a fastball that cut a little bit on him right there, but he can throw any pitch in any count, especially to the meat of the order here.
Ball 4, and McCann walks on 4 pitches.
Again, we said at the start of the telecast, can Clemson keep from giving free passes? Clark started off well with the first 2 batters, then wasn't able to find the zone with the 3-hole batter.
Now, Clark only has given up 12 walks now in 45 innings this year. And it extends the Georgia Tech first for Tristan English. 2 for 4 with a double, a sac fly, and an RBI yesterday. Redshirt junior back playing in the field after suffering that hard hit-by pitch in the finale versus Boston College April the 9th. Also earned a save yesterday. They did give up 3 earned runs, made things interesting in the late stages for the Yellow Jackets.
But he was able to bear down when needed to be and get the last out. That 27th out's the hardest one to get, Andy.
English's 5th save on the year. And look at his numbers at the plate, 307 with 9 home runs. In the air, couldn't quite barrel it up. Teodosio with those sunglasses gleaming, camps underneath it, retires the Jackets. No runs, no hits, 1 left through 1, and no score between the Tigers and Jackets. Teams exchanges scoreless first, just underway from Russ Chandler Stadium as you take a look at Monty Lee, Clemson head coach. 42-plus wins each of his past 3 seasons. As skipper of the Tigers, we know his team has been struggling of late, 11-11 in the ACC. What do you think the message has been from Monty Lee to his clubhouse? There's a big difference between getting guys to play with urgency and not letting that become panic. There's still a lot of season left for the Tigers, and though they're not trending in the direction they want right now, you don't want them to start playing tight and start playing with panic.
Yes, there's an earnesty to the play here. I think the message is, hey, let's stay loose. Let's keep doing what we do well. Let's tighten up on the things that we've struggled with so far with the free passes and defensively. We've been swinging the bat well. Let's keep doing it.
And a first pitch stroked into right field by Kyle Wilkie.
And again, Wilkie continues swinging the bat well. Had a home run yesterday and a double and lined out also. Another good swing right there. You see the approach of the Tigers so far. If they see a fastball early in the count, they're going to be attacking it.
So man aboard now for the Tigers' hottest hitter. And he's the freshman Briar Hawkins, 4 for 5 last night. There's Wilkie at first base. But a guy who has been a fixture on the base paths for the Tigers of late has been Hawkins, DHing today.
And he's one guy they missed last weekend against Duke. Didn't play the whole series, so really has been a boost to this lineup this weekend.
2 runs scored, 2 RBIs as part of that 4-hit night last night for the coming Georgia native.
A little bit of homecoming for him.
Yeah, you know something about that. Atlanta area native yourself, as you look at Hawkins putting together what I think when all is said and done will be an all-ACC freshman season. Behind on Thomas, 0-2.
What a pitch right there. An 0-1 slider, back foot. Very good pitch to a right-handed batter. You don't see many hard sliders down and into righties in the college level, and Thomas does a great job of that.
He is an analytical darling of the scouting community, the junior from Omega, Georgia. After the leadoff single to Wilkie, the 0-2 pitch. A check swing. Did he go? He did, says first base umpire Derek Monica. And Hawkins is set down on 3 pitches.
Again, you see another example of throwing that back foot breaking ball. One of the best ways I've heard described it is go from a more reachable pitch to a less reachable if you double up on that pitch. And he went from the right below the knees to dirt, right over top of the plate, and couldn't lay off of it.
Well, the way he's been swinging, that's not an easy thing to do, to strike him out on 3 pitches. So 1 away for Jordan Green, the second baseman.
Green was able to get 2 hits last night for the Tigers. Came around to score once.
Raises his average to 211 on the year. A righty-heavy lineup for the Tigers against the left-hander Thomas. 7 righties and a switch hitter.
And there you see the example of throwing his third best pitch is changeup for a strike. If you can throw 3 pitches, no matter what level you throw it, you pitch at for a strike whenever you need to and command it, you've got a chance to have a very good day.
Not only an economics major, but an economics graduate for Jordan Green. Earned his diploma in May of last year. His final year of eligibility for the Tigers, and you see his numbers in his senior season.
He's another guy at start of the year as a starter, then got banged up a little bit, and has been kind of in and out of the lineup, but a guy that you need as a senior leader as you go through a struggle like this.
Ball pops out of McCann's glove, and Wilkie gave a notion to break in for second.
That's a pitch right there that we need to watch today, the 1-1 count and the ability to throw the changeup in the 1-1 count for both lefties. It's a very good action pitch. You usually want to be aggressive in that count if you're a hitter. And you already seen Clark throw it once in a 1-1 count, and You see there again Thomas doing it for the Yellow Jackets.
Drops in under the hands for a strike.
And again, when you can do that in a 2-1 count, when he's sitting dead red fastball and be able to throw that breaking ball in there, I mean, you're going to have a tough day at the plate. And that's what we're talking about when we say pitchability. If you have the ability to pitch, doesn't mean just throw it, but be able to pitch to both sides of the plate and go up and down.
Wilkie takes off as that ball is served into left center. Coming on is Wilhite. He dives and makes a rolling catch. Well, now hold on a minute here. And now they lay the tag on Wilkie at second to double him up. We take a look at the replay on Wilhite's diving attempt. Monty Lee is out as we watch the replay.
Looks like there's a lot of confusion between the umpiring crew here.
No, he clearly didn't catch that. So you can see from the camera behind center field, umpires will confer.
Almost a great play.
And rightfully called a single after the umpires conference.
Again, with a struggling Tigers team, see if you can get ahead and see how the pitchers pitch with a lead here. And it's a good chance for Sharp to add to it here.
Almost a great diving stop out in center field by Nick Wilhite.
Had to go a long way to go get that ball, Andy.
Sold it well.
Just did.
And a first pitch pop-up by Sharp. No dive required this time by Wilhite, 2 away.
Another example of a great pitch right there. Change-up, 0-0 count. Take advantage of his aggressiveness in a big situation, runners in scoring position.
Third baseman, number 17, Justin Hawkins.
So 2 on, 2 out for Justin Hawkins, the third baseman. Hawkins hitless in 4 at-bats last night.
And he's a guy that we talked about it last night on the telecast. He did not start any games till last weekend and really took advantage of his opportunity and was able to have a big grand slam on Saturday to tie the game up before they eventually lost the lead. But he's done a lot of good things for Monty Lee, and he's been able to keep him in the lineup so far.
Hard hit ball, and it ricochets off of Waddell's glove. It'll score a run as Wilkie motors around to put the Tigers ahead 1-0. So 3 hits in the inning, and the third drives in a run by Hawkins.
Another good piece of hitting right there. Looked like he may have been sitting on a first pitch breaking ball over the middle of the plate. It was probably not a bad pitch on the inner third, and it was able to take a good swing on it. Shortstop Waddell couldn't come up with it, and Tigers take an early lead.
Making just his 7th start of the year, Hawkins puts the Tigers ahead. And the inning continues for Bryce Teodosio. Returned to the lineup last night. Had missed the previous 5 games after bunting a ball off his eye in practice.
And you can see
thankfully only had to miss 5 games.
Yes, and luckily didn't mess up his vision for his future. You see his rec specs there he's wearing right now, trying to get comfortable back in the box.
Takes low 2-0. But technology has gotten so good with the protective eyewear. You know, back when you were coming up in Little League and when I was playing, you had to wear the ugly rectangular framed eyewear with the Velcro in the back.
I used to wear glasses growing up at a lazy eye, still do, and I look like the little kid off Jerry Maguire with the little glasses that wrapped around your ears, no front teeth. So I can understand what he's going through a little bit there.
Just the eyewear they have now is so much more aesthetically pleasing.
Oh, yes.
You're not going to look back on that 5-10 years from now and say, man, that was an ugly look. And Teodosio ahead of of Thomas, 3-0. Last night it was Georgia Tech jumping out to the 2-0 lead early. Clemson tied it through 3. But a 3 spot in the 7th by the Yellow Jackets gave them the cushion they needed in that 8-7 win. Now strike on the outside corner. Teodosio was taking a step toward first.
Look, a pretty good pitch right there. May have been a little bit off, but gave the benefit of the doubt to Thomas. Teodosio still ahead in the count here, 3-1, looking for something out over the plate to hit.
He'll take his base, and the base is loaded for the Tigers. And back to the top of the order in Hall. A rare walk issued by Connor Thomas.
Number 5, Sam Hall.
Looked a little bit out of sorts there with those 5 pitches there. Maybe out of rhythm a little bit. Had to step off and get his breath and be able to refocus here.
All grounded out his first time up.
2 straight days he swung at the first pitch to start the game and grounded out. So let's see if in a big situation right here, he probably won't be taking. He'll be ready to hit the runners in scoring position.
Lays off, takes a strike on the outside corner from Thomas.
And getting the confidence to throw that off-speed pitch, his third best pitch, the changeup and 0-0 count. It's just a weapon that most offenses don't see every day.
All 4 for 10 with bases loaded this year. Chance for an early big inning for the Tigers. Bounced off the plate, it's 0-2. Inning began with a Wilkie single. He was driven in on the 2-out RBI by Hawkins.
But again, here's where a junior and Thomas is able to limit the damage. He's 1 pitch away from getting out of the inning and getting his lineup back in the dugout to be able to swing and hopefully score some runs for him. So look for him to be make a very good pitch right here to try to get a swing and miss.
Swing and a miss. Back-footed him again. 2 strikeouts in the inning, but Connor Thomas gives 3 Clemson hits, including the RBI by Hawkins. An inning and a half complete from Atlanta. Clemson jumps out 1-0. Clemson the 1-0 lead as we take a look at the College Baseball Hall of Famer Danny Hall. His week began by taking their season series with Georgia and an 8-6 win at SunTrust Park. And with their RPI 10, their strength of schedule also in the top 10 nationally. And Matthew, this is a team over the last 4 weeks of the regular season could play itself into a national seed. And you know from having been on both sides of it in regionals just how important it is to have that home field advantage come the NCAA tournament.
Oh, yes it is, Andy. If you're at home, the way to College World Series more times than not is to go.
Ball belted, Baron Radcliffe on the first pitch of the Georgia Tech second off the scoreboard, and we are tied.
What a swing by Radcliffe right there. Able to stay on a fastball away and crushed it off the scoreboard right there and really swung the momentum back in their dugout after you thought Clemson would take a lead there to start the game.
His 5th home run of the year. He almost hit his face on the scoreboard. Going to the opposite field. That was something that Radcliffe might not have been able to do last year as a freshman. And all the left fielder Bird could do is watch it sail out.
Was able to get his hands extended right there, Andy, and didn't miss it at all.
So Clemson's lead lasted all of 1 pitch and brings up Colin Hall. Let's get back to that because you were part of a team that hosted a regional. You were part of teams that had to go clear across the country to Cal State Fullerton in a regional, man. There is a big difference when you're playing in your home ballpark. Obviously, you have so much experience playing road series throughout the season, but once you get into the postseason, you can never discount the importance and the value of just being able to sleep in your own bed.
Yes, I mean, there's something to be said about playing at home and having a good record during the regular season so that teams have to come through you to get to Omaha. You know, when you're playing at home for a regional and for a super regional, you know, you have a better comfort level than other teams that are there. And, you know, teams that have had real success in the past have more than likely about 70 or 80% of them have had home regionals and super regionals.
Shift is on for Austin Wilhite. After the Hall ground out, first pitch is fouled away. Austin Wilhite 0 for 4, but did have an RBI yesterday. His 21st of the season. Big bender snapped off by Clark for a strike. 6 through 9 last night for the Jackets did go hitless. Combined 0 for 12, though they walked a combined 4 times. Real high to 279. And the 1-2 from Clark. Out of the zone.
See 2 pitches in a row right there. Tried to go fastball up and in underneath the hands to try to jam them up, but kind of see a timing issue with Clark right there. Kind of let the ball sail arm side. Maybe when his foot hit the ground at foot strike was a little low with his arm. Look for him to get back in the zone here.
Fly ball, center field. Teodosio has to turn his back. Has it on the track. 2 away.
Very good swing by Woolhite right there on a 2-2 breaking ball. Able to get the barrel to it. And good play by Teodosio over there, having to flip his head and his hips around to get to that ball on the warning track.
Woolhite's not known to have tape measure power, but he put a charge into that one. Teodosio back in center field. So after the leadoff home run by Radcliffe, pair of outs recorded by Clark, it brings up Jackson Webb, the third baseman. And a big cut on the first pitch. Webb yesterday was 0 for 3 with a walk. On his previous 7 starts, the senior had gone .379.
Still hitting over 300 for the year.
A guy who his playing time was very modest the first half of the season. Given the opportunity, he has delivered for Danny Hall. Talked about his journey at Georgia Tech. He began his collegiate career at Tech. Redshirted his freshman year, did not play. Transferred to junior college, Gulf State College in Florida, where he made all-conference. Transferred to UCF, where he played last year and started 26 games. And then, in large part because he wanted to be closer to his family, transferred back to Georgia Tech.
Circuitous route, as they would say.
No doubt. You don't see that path often in college baseball. Really any collegiate sport. Here's the 1-2. And an uppercut and a miss. Fished out of the dirt by Wilkie. On to first to complete the strikeout and complete the jack at second. But the first pitch of the second was sent over the fence by Barron Radcliffe, his 5th home run of the year. We head to the third, tied at 1. One all from Atlanta as we head to the third inning. Andy DeMetcher, Matthew Crownover, great to have you with us on ACC Network Extra. Georgia Tech with 6 consecutive conference series wins, longest streak since 2005 after the 8-7 win last night, a chance for number 7 in a row. As Logan Davidson, Grayson Bird, Cal Wilkie, 2 up in the Tiger third. Davidson struck out his first time.
Again, Thomas trying to have a shutdown inning for the Yellow Jackets and get him back in the dugout here, something that Clark was not able to do for Clemson in the bottom half of the second.
Another trait of Connor Thomas. You might have already noticed this through 2 innings. He works quick.
You know, when nobody's on base, you can work pretty quick. That's what I always tell everybody. I said, why didn't you struggled that day pitching? Why didn't you work faster? So well, every time I looked up, somebody was at second base. I had to slow down. But yeah, when he's in rhythm, he does a really good job of keeping his teammates in a game. And as you see right there, he's kind of got a little pep in his step, get the ball back, and he's got a rhythm like a bullpen throwing a breaking ball in there. He's able to throw a 2-1 breaking ball. I mean, that's very, very tough.
First team All-ACC a year ago. Grounded sharply but foul by Davidson to stay alive. Davidson a switch hitter, so he bats from the right side.
And Thomas is a guy that's fun to catch, to call pitches, or even the pitching coach to call pitches, because he's a guy that can throw any pitch in any count. So it's almost like you're playing a video game and you press the X button, A button. Yeah, you've got multiple choices to throw in any count. You don't have to throw a 3-2 fastball.
Up and in, and the count goes full. Snap that off at 89.
Fastball up and in, kind of brushed him off the plate so they could go back away or set up a breaking ball down around his feet.
Can't spot that, and Davidson walks to begin the Tiger third.
Again, a great at-bat by Logan Davidson there, and was able to get on as a leadoff guy. As a pitcher, that's what you don't want to happen, giving up a free pass for the first guy of the inning.
And when Davidson reaches, also have the benefit of speed. 16 stolen bases, 18 attempts.
Georgia Tech did a great job yesterday of being able to hold on base runners between pickoffs and the great throwing arm of McCain.
Driven deep into right by Bird, and Radcliffe will watch it sail out of here. Tigers back in front as Bird rides the wind to right. And Clemson takes the 3-1 lead.
Great job by Bird going on a 0-0 breaking ball, being ready for it, and saw it up and was able to drive it in right field. Trees out there.
6th home run of the year for Bird. Wind or not, that was going to reach the Pines. It's not quite the same prolific home run hitting team the Tigers had last year when they were 3rd nationally in home runs per game. But that's already their 4th home run of the series.
And again, this is a great park to hit in as a hitter, especially to right field. The ball always travels well to right field, right center.
Wilkie singled and scored in the 2nd.
And we saw Wilkie hit one on top of the batter's eye last night as they were trailing to come back.
It's only Wilkie's 2nd home run of the season. Might not have known it from that swing last night as he falls behind on Thomas 0-2.
And again, you see Thomas getting back in the zone there. Probably frustrated with himself to let somebody on for free. First batter of the inning after being ahead. But again, just trying to attack the zone and get ahead.
There's Grayson Bird, hard to miss. Line drive over a leaping Wilhite. Austin Wilhite cuts it off, but Wilkie follows the 2-run homer with a single.
Good piece of 0-2 hitting right there on a all-speed pitch. I couldn't tell if it was a changeup or a breaking ball away. It wasn't down in the dirt, so he's able to keep his hands back, even though his weight was shifted forward in his lower body, and hit it in the right center gap there for a single.
Already a 5th hit by the Tigers. Sets the table for Briar Hawkins, who in spite of that strikeout in the 2nd inning. 4 for 6 this series.
And again, if you're a Clemson fan, you got to be feel optimistic about Clemson, the way they've come out so far in their offensive approach.
First pitch swinging, chopped to short. Takes a high hop, the flip to Wilhite, bare hands and relays in time. Impressive 6-4-3 to retire Hawkins and put 2 outs on the board.
Again, good pitch right there. Being able to throw the ball to the plate consistently. You're going to get some ground balls there. And you see their double play. Good job by the middle infielders.
A bare hand by Wilhite.
Ball kind of hopped up the last second on there.
Yeah. Well, top's been special. Waddell inspecting the glove. And yeah, it still works. So 2 away for Jordan Green. And a sinking single to center his first time.
And again, the Tigers are going ahead with their aggressive approach early in counts, swinging at pitches over the plate. And you can kind of see that may have affected Thomas a little bit, a guy that doesn't walk many people. But seeing how aggressive Clemson has been, makes you more cognizant as a starter. Hey, I can't just throw it in there first pitch, and before you know it, you're behind 2-0. And you see him who's walked 2 guys, where he's only walked 12 all year. So that could play into it a little bit. We used to call them ambush guys that ambush first pitch fastballs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've got quite a few guys in this lineup that if they see red, they see fastball, they're going to be swinging.
Green behind 0-2. Grounds one behind third. Redirects off of Webb to Waddell. He'll have no throw. And 3rd hit of the inning, and this time it's Jordan Green who's 2 for 2.
Again, hard hit ball on an 0-2 pitch. Probably not where Thomas wanted it at. Probably wants it a little bit lower where he can't get a barrel to it. But again, a good piece of hitting right there, 0-2 count.
See how they scored that. It could get out to Webb quickly.
I think they called it an error, Andy.
Yeah, they did. So make Green 1 for 2, but he's reached base both plate appearances, and the inning continues for Sharp. Clemson swept last weekend by Duke and fallen in the opener to the Yellow Jackets, dropping them to 11-11 in the ACC. Pretty crowded company down there. The likes of Louisville, Wake Forest, whom the Tigers play at home, close out regular season play. A lot of movement you can still make in both divisions between now and the end of the season.
Again, you see there at 11-win mark with 8 games to go. If they finished 500 the rest of the way out of those 8 games, that'd be 15-win mark, be 15-15 in the conference. So you kind of see that as like the next goal to get to. First, you got to win today. You kind of see the sense of urgency out the dugout today so far.
Fouled off by Sharp.
But there's also a sense of urgency for Georgia Tech, a different one. They're trying to win this series, win their 7th consecutive conference series, but also they're looking forward to winning their side of the ACC and eventually be a national seed. It's funny how this game works. There's always everybody's trying to win no matter what, but there's different goals in sight and motives for winning.
And for Georgia Tech, certainly to end this weekend. In sole possession to first place with North Carolina. Green takes off, pitches again, lifted foul.
And you see Thomas right there making that motion of his breaking ball, and you can't read what his mind's saying, but I did the same thing sometimes when I threw. He's saying, get it over there. He's so many times he's been able to throw that ball right on the black, below the knees, where it's an unhittable pitch. And you see right there, that ball was down, but it was over the middle of the plate, and Sharp was able to get his barrel to it to foul it off.
We'll try again on 1-2.
Like that one right there.
Yeah. So Sharp starting to guard the plate as the pitch count nears 50 for Thomas.
And for a guy like Thomas who throws a lot of strikes and is a pitchability guy, days like the day where you can't put guys away or you walk one or two, that just really frustrates you because you're not used to doing that. Take a lot of pride in your side sessions and in your daily throwing program that you can throw any pitch where you want to when you need to. Days like these are few and far between where you struggle to put guys away.
Especially so for a guy like Thomas. Again, we'll try to keep Green tethered close to first. Thomas's strikeout to walk ratio last year was in the top 10 nationally. Green again takes off, pitches in for a called strike. So no worry about that throw by McCann. The inning comes to an end for the Tigers. So after Georgia Tech tied it with the Barron Radcliffe homer in the bottom of the second, Clemson cracks a 2-run shot. This one from Grayson Bird. We head to the bottom half of inning number 3, 3-1 Tigers. Good to see the young ball players at Russ Chandler Stadium today. 3-1 Tigers over the Jackets as we move to the bottom of the third. I'm sure you were once one of those young kids, Matthew.
Yes.
Going to college pro baseball games.
I grew up in Ringgold, Georgia, about an hour and a half away. We used to come down here and we played at East Cobb, and I would sit down that line quite a few times.
Ever catch any foul balls, get any souvenirs, autographs?
Oh, yeah. They had some great teams here when I was growing up, similar to the team they had this year, and had a lot of big power bats before the BB Core part of the game. They used to have down the left field line a hamburger stand that was a $5 hamburger, probably the best hamburger at a ballpark you could ever eat. And I remember when I was 14 coming to the game, they didn't have it anymore. That
is some hamburger. If you still remember it more than a decade later, as a single leads off the Georgia Tech third by Nick Wilhite.
It was bigger than any hamburger you could get at Fuddruckers, so I thought it was great.
Wow. That was the wrong anecdote to tell, by the way, when the play-by-play guy is working on an empty stomach.
Yes.
Just for the wise.
Yes.
Top of the order now for the Jackets and Luke Waddell. He was a strikeout victim of Clark their first time around.
Again, great job by that 9-hole, though, and Wilhite. yesterday was able to get on with didn't get a hit. He was hit by a pitch and 2 walks, and again today gets on with a hit with nobody out to start a Jackets inning right here.
On the outside corner for a strike to Waddell, who had himself some Tuesday night at SunTrust Park. Against rival Georgia, finished a home run shy of the cycle. 3 RBIs for the sophomore from Cincinnati.
And again, these Yellow Jackets, Coach Hall scheduled very hard this year between UCLA and all the midweek games. You always have the traditional Georgia 3-game series mixed in there, a couple weeks apart. But also added Auburn twice and Kennesaw State, who went to super regional about 4 years ago. So not many gimme games, as you would say, in midweek.
Georgia Tech swept its season series with Auburn in the midweek.
See there, Clark, the ability to throw a breaking ball, first 2 pitch, then a 1-1 pitch, freeze Waddell on an 84-mile-an-hour fastball.
Lays off. It's 2-2. Of course, Clemson had a memorable midweek game versus Georgia of its own a week ago Tuesday when they battled 20 innings in Athens before succumbing 3-2. Just a run-of-the-mill 6.5-hour game.
Jeez, it just kills you for the whole weekend.
Reaches out and poked. Caught at third by Hawkins. Throws down to first, not in time. But Hawkins able to climb the ladder to retire Waddell.
What a great play by Hawkins right there. Very athletic. Almost got over his head right there. Could have been trouble. May have been first and third. Nobody out. Big momentum swing.
It's a base running by Wilhite. Not to stray too far off of first. What was the longest game that you were a part of professionally?
I played a game that went 17 innings once, but we had an hour-and-a-half rain delay after 4 innings.
Oh no!
And then from innings, the other team had 3 people in the whole team that got a hit the whole game. So, and we kept getting thrown out. We got thrown out of home 6 times. So you knew eventually we weren't going to win if that kept happening, but they couldn't get a hit either. So they ended the game in 17 innings, and they had 8 hits, and 3 guys had all 8 hits.
And they won the game.
And they won the game. It was impeccable. I was sitting in the stands. It was like 20 degrees outside doing the chart, and for pro ball, and I said, man, yeah. Eventually, you play 140 games. Eventually, you just want it to end, because I was pitching the next day. You didn't want to stay out there to 2 a.m.
Oh, so you started the very next day, and I'm guessing this was a night game?
Yes.
Oh, man.
7 o'clock game with a rain delay with 17 innings, so it was not fun.
Do you remember how you fared the following day?
I think I did okay. I think it's like six innings, 2 or 3 runs.
Okay, so you helped out your bullpen.
We'll take it.
Goldberg tried to bunt his way aboard his first time. A little low, 2-1. Just don't tell me it was it obviously wasn't a getaway day. That would have made it even worse if you were the visiting team.
Yes, that's awful. That's awful. Getaway, ain't nobody at home doesn't know. Getaway day is like tomorrow for Sunday for a visiting team like Clemson. You want a quick game so you can get back home and sleep in your own bed at a decent hour.
Chopped softly. Played by Davidson on to first, not in time. Hawkins, who had that leaping catch in the last at-bat, couldn't flag that down, so Davidson had a long throw in the hole. Wilhite up to second, and the Jackets have him at first and second.
Well, the guy who can run right there, probably the third baseman's ball to come and get it. It's going to be very tough for the shortstop Davidson to get it in the hole, stop, plant, and get a speedy runner out there. A very tough play. But again, runners in first and second with the 3-hole batter McCann up. Hit his 16th home run last game.
McCann walked on 4 pitches his first at-bat. Well out in front of that breaking ball.
And you'd have to imagine he's probably going to see quite a bit of those with runners in scoring position here in the 3rd inning.
Sees another one, but Clark can't spot that for a strike. It's 1-1.
Pretty good miss there by Clark. May have been just a hair outside, but this is such a big moment for Clemson's team, the whole psyche of the team, with after getting a lead, then giving it up. Now two-run homer. Are they going to be able to get out of this jam without giving up the lead?
That paints the black, 1-2. Clark's best start this season was against Notre Dame March the 16th. For 7 scoreless innings, allowed 3 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts.
And a guy who was really more of a mid reliever for Coach Lee last year and to start the year this year. So he's really stepped up in a role that they didn't think he would have to fill. But again, Georgia Tech's so good in their veteran ball club that takes advantage of the opportunities given to them. Got 3, 4, 5 coming up with a runner in scoring position. More times than not this year, they've been able to come up with a big hit when they needed it.
McCann batting .375 this year with runners in scoring position, behind the ball and 2 strikes, and the pitch hugs the line, but now spins foul off first. McCann replacing Joey Bart. Now in the minor league organization of the San Francisco Giants, taken 2nd overall last year. He's in high A right now.
What a great year he had last year. But again, it's just the run of great catchers they've had here between Wieters, Zane Evans when I was here, who also closed as a two-way player and played with him at East Cobb my time in summer ball. And, Joey Bart, now McCann. I mean, it's very, very good catchers that ran through this program. And Coach Hall, one thing they've always had, Coach Hall in his 26 years, they've had one of the coaches has been a former catcher. So they've always developed catchers well. That's something that in college baseball you don't always get with the limited assistant coaches.
Quite a pipeline that Danny Hall has developed in his 26 years at Georgia Tech. McCann, 5 RBIs his last 2 games, has Will Hyde at second, Goldberg at first. As Clark tries to buckle down. A check swing, he goes. Strike 3 for out number 2.
Big pitch right there by Clark, and you see McCann a little frustrated with the home plate umpire not checking with the umpire at third base. There are 4 out there now, so it's something different than when I played here a couple years ago.
Let's take a look at the side angle on that check swing.
I would tend to think he went there, but I am a pitcher. Whoever's playing, I always think they swing. It's hard to stop a bat when you're swinging it at 118, 120 miles per hour. Hard to stop a check swing there.
First pitch, a line drive by English, snagged by Davidson. And the Tigers get out of the inning. No runs, a couple of hits, but 2 left through 3 at Russ Chandler Stadium. 3-1 Clemson. 3-1 Clemson as we move to the 4th. Connor Thomas, an ERA of 2.83. Matt Clark, Clemson left-hander, an ERA of 2.84. 2 guys who are very stingy in letting runs come across, but the Tigers have knocked around Thomas for 5 hits in the opening 3 innings. Thomas has also surrendered a pair of walks. And to Demetra, Matthew Crownover, former ACC Pitcher of the Year. You, not me, obviously. And we were talking before the game. You had a lot of praise for the mound here at Russ Chandler Stadium.
Oh, what a great playing surface. We used to say this was better than Turner Field, but especially the mound. It's just firm enough, but just soft enough that you feel like your feet had a good footing to it, and never was a hole anywhere throughout a whole 9-inning game, which is hard to say in most places.
Ball sinks low to Hawkins, who had an RBI single with 2 outs in the 2nd. Well, when you zoom in really close, no mound looks pristine, but structurally very sound, and certainly to an ACC Pitcher of the Year's liking.
One of the worst things you can have is a hole right where your foot is going to be. And if you get the opposing pitcher or the starter before the reliever got in there, starts digging in the hole, then you have nowhere to put your foot. Your foot kind of gets stuck there. So you'd rather not have that. But this was always a great place, and the grounds crew does a great job. So does many other schools that have the resources and financial resources to take care of a field, but this is pristine.
Here's the 2-2 to Hawkins, right down the middle, taken for a strike.
And you see the adjustment there that Georgia Tech has made. Hawkins was able to have a big hit in the first inning off of a breaking ball first pitch, so he crowded him in quite a bit this inning. And usually when he's gone in, and he's gone in with the slider at the feet. So it looks like when he starts a ball right there, it's going to be a ball if you're a Clemson hitter, but they've changed their approach and been able to throw fastballs there.
The strikeout for Thomas, and a ball fisted softly by Teodosio. It's English coming in from behind the mound for a quick second out.
Again, you see the inside fastball usage there by Thomas. 1 pitch, 1 out, pitcher's best friend.
English, who was on the mound to close out the game last night, flips the order over to Sam Hall, who's 0 for 2. English, one of the top two-way players, certainly in the ACC, nationally as well, redshirt junior. If you had to be a two-way player, what would your position have been?
Probably outfield.
Okay.
But again, let's slow track it there. I mean, I did hit 20 home runs in 3 years playing, but it's a little bit different hitting in this environment, in ACC, SEC.
Okay.
And there's a lot asked of you to be a weekend starter, or to be a guy that hits in the lineup every day. I mean, it's a lot of volume between throws, and that's one thing that coaches do a better job of now. Good piece of hitting right there.
Hall reaches.
Coaches do a great job of kind of making a guy who plays position like a Davis Sharp, make him a pitcher only 2 or 3 days a week, so that he doesn't make excessive throws at first base. And I'm sure Coach Hall does the same thing at Georgia Tech with English. So just you kind of not let them throw the volume of throws in the infield on certain days of the week, which really help them stay healthy throughout the year.
Davidson stands in. Hall always a threat on the base pass. 27 stolen bases this year, most by Clemson Tigers since Henry Stanley in 1999, and it's a 1-0 count to Davidson, who's walked and struck out.
Hall's always a threat to steal. Was also thrown out twice yesterday, so don't know if you'll see an aggressive approach or not.
Ball gets away from McCann, throw over the bag, and it trickles under the glove of Wilhite into center field. So Hall is able to take advantage of the ball in the dirt, and he moves up an extra base to third.
I think he may have had him right there, Andy, if he catches the ball.
It was right over the bag.
Very athletic play by McCann to get up and pounce on it right there. But all of a sudden, after having a quick first 2 batters, now Hall is at third base with arguably their best hitter on the plate.
Davidson fouls it back 1-2. See if they might score that in error.
But again, you see the change of approach, the adjustment that Thomas has made. He's throwing his fastball in to set up his breaking ball. He's had trouble. Guys have made adjustments to his breaking ball, so now it's the cat and mouse game or chess game of setting up his breaking ball a little better by going in with fastball.
Went with the fastball inside, right on cue. Brings up Davidson looking, strands a runner at third, 3.5 complete. So 6th strikeout for Connor Thomas, but as the Jackets down 3-1. And error was charged to Nick Wilhite in that Clemson 4th, but doesn't come back to haunt the Yellow Jackets. Tigers strand a runner at third, still on top 3-1. And Georgia Tech's lone run so far was supplied by Barron Radcliffe on the first pitch he saw from Matt Clark to lead off the second, his 5th long ball of the year. Radcliffe will lead off the Georgia Tech 4th.
You know, with that frame, Andy, he looks like he could add, 15 home runs, hit 20-plus home runs a year, and being a sophomore now, look for him to, get up to at least 10 home runs at the end of the year and possibly up to 15 mark, and next year, do even more. So once he gets his hands extended, he put a lot of power into it and do a lot of damage. I mean, he may have hurt that video board out there.
Might have to replace some bulbs out there. Radcliffe followed by Hall and Austin Wilhite. As they shift the right side of the infield for Hall. Radcliffe, strike 1. Radcliffe and Clemson catcher Wilkie were both very talented quarterbacks in the metro Atlanta area. They have a lot in common.
As we like to say in North Georgia, that's big boy football in this state.
That it is.
That's some big time football, and teams that traditionally go deep into the playoffs, and I can't imagine a high school linebacker trying to tackle him in a option or a spread offense as quarterback.
You get a look at Barron Radcliffe, and if he were able to turn the corner down that sideline.
The RPO system, that's what I was stumbling over there.
There it is. Off the plate, 2-2.
As they like to say, that might have been a business decision to get out of the way. Those cornerbacks that kind of throw the shoulder at guys, the business decision to get out of the way.
Radcliffe 6'4", 239. Here's the 2-2 on the way from Clark, and it's in the dirt. You get a look at Kyle Wilkie. He was an all-state quarterback, in addition to being an all-state in baseball. Here's the payoff to Radcliffe. Bounces it behind first, foul.
Who says baseball players aren't athletes?
Why, one of the best two-way players, football, baseball, who could have been a Clemson Tiger but never actually got there was Jeff Rancourt, quarterback, baseball player as well. I think he was signed originally to a football scholarship at Clemson, if memory serves, and then he was drafted. Yeah.
If you've ever grown up in this area, we've all seen the Sports South 30-minute documentary about him during rain delays and what he did in the state championship at Laster for Parkview.
So wing and a miss, and Radcliffe goes down.
In that state championship series, because that's what you play in Georgia, series, he was able to hit, I think it was like 4 or 5 home runs in 2 games and close both games out for 2 innings apiece. So, I mean, just a freak of an athlete.
Yep. Strikeout is the 4th for Clark. Brings up Colin Hall. Grounded out to first, his first at bat. Hall now 0 for his last 12. 269 average for Georgia Tech's left fielder. That breaks inside, 2-0. High pop fly. Into the sunshine. Davidson backpedals. Gets waved off by Teodosio for the second out.
Big pitch right there on a 2-0 count. Hall got a pitch he could handle up in the zone, but just missed it. Got a barrel to it and popped it up to short center field.
It's 4 straight set down by Clark. Wilhite also flew out to center his first at-bat. Clark missed his start last Saturday in the Duke series. And prior to that was roughed up against Florida State. Didn't get out of the 4th. Has held the Yellow Jackets to 1 run, 3 hits.
Again, people don't realize until you've played in the ACC, there's some tough places to play at. This is one of them at Russ Chandler Stadium, but also at Florida State, one of the toughest away crowds, and they always play well at their place.
Dick Hauser Stadium. Florida State has gotten red hot lately in Mike Martin's farewell season in Tallahassee.
And they were struggling a little bit before Clemson came into town. It was a big series it got them going as they've won each series since.
Now, sometimes it just takes that one weekend to completely reverse the fortunes of a team. As Teodosio in the middle of the action in this Georgia Tech 4th. Clark sets him down in order. 3-1 Tigers as we head to the 5th. Clemson looking to even up the series after an 8-7 defeat last night. 3-1 Tigers as we move to the 5th. The heart of the Tiger order due up against Connor Thomas, including Grayson Bird, who in his last at-bat ripped a 2-run homer against Connor Thomas. Both teams featuring pitchability lefties, and both have shown off why they can be such a baffling guy to get hits off of.
Yes, and you see their versatility to change their approach throughout the game. They're not stuck to one different approach.
Another long fly ball by Bird. 2 home runs for Grayson Bird.
2 pitches, 2 home runs. He knows Thomas is going to be in the zone, and he swung early on both times.
Make it 4-1 Tigers. And that was a no-doubter climbing the batter's eye in center.
Good pitch, down and away. Just a good piece of hitting right there. Again, this is a great place to hit at, and leaves Thomas kind of scratching his head a little bit there.
Home run number 6 came in the third, and home run number 7 the very next at-bat. Man who looks like he's in witness protection.
Now, I don't know what you put in that beer to make it stay that way, but it's like a badge of honor.
When you have a 2 home run game, I can assure you there will not be a razor in Grayson Bird's future.
I think that beard has weathered many hitting streaks and hitless nights. So I think it's a lifestyle now, kind of like a Charlie Blackmon.
Ball bounced behind third by Wilkie. Webb guns across. Wilkie now 2 for 3. Speaking of Charlie Blackmon, former Yellow Jacket, whose Colorado Rockies are playing this weekend at SunTrust versus the Braves, and tomorrow they're giving out commemorative Charlie Blackmon T-shirts for the fans who come into Russ Chandler Stadium.
I mean, what a great job he's done in his career. He was able to get him a big contract 2 years ago, and they've got a good ball club in Colorado, a team that really does a good job of hitting the baseball, and now can pitch it a little bit with Bud Black as their manager.
Swing and a miss by Hawkins. Charlie Blackmon arrived out of junior college at Georgia Tech as a clean-shaven pitcher. Oh, how his journey has changed.
Do your most growing in the college years, huh? As they say.
Well, the beard certainly has grown most professionally. 0-2 on Hawkins.
And again, you see the game plan of trying to crowd these right-handed batters of Clemson and make them uncomfortable with fastballs in. Might have to do the same thing with lefties.
Bounce off the plate, a foul by Hawkins, who struck out his first at-bat, grounded into a 6-4-3 double play in the third.
That's something at the college level that guys that succeed are the ones that are able to throw fastballs into righties. Because everybody, pretty much if you're a ACC pitcher, you can throw the ball arm side to righties as a lefty. But they being able to crowd guys in sets up pitches like that away.
Yeah, Hawkins couldn't have handled that with the boat paddle. Strikeout number 6 for Thomas. 2 away in the Tiger fifth.
Second baseman number 9, Jordan Green.
Very good change up there. Third best pitch. Then we'll get a swing and miss.
I think it's strikeout number 7 for Thomas. Leadoff home run by Bird to begin the fifth. Tigers up by 3, and here's Jordan Green. Looked like he wanted time. Wasn't granted, and he takes one down the middle.
He was wanting to be able to set up, take a deep breath in there, and home plate umpire and Thomas that wasn't having any of it.
Orlando Matias said, let's go.
See 2 changeups back-to-back there, doubling up. Not many guys are confident enough to throw that pitch back-to-back. The fear of leaving it up.
A wave and a miss by Green, 1-2.
And there it is 3 times in a row.
No sense messing with success. Green reached on a knee 5 his last at-bat.
In the opposing dugout, you might say that is quick pitching. I think that's just a good rhythm to the game. As us fans sat and watched a 4-hour game yesterday, we can appreciate that pace today.
No doubt about it. Green doesn't chase, evens the count at 2.
That's the thing they talk about, the pace of play now. I mean, how many guys throw so hard, there's not many balls put in play. I mean, foul balls take a while in between pitches. That's the biggest thing. You can't change that.
Pulled past the dive of Webb. And it's a 2-hit day for Green to extend the Clemson fifth.
Again, there you see out of those 5 pitches, he went 2 changeups, 3 changeups in a row, fastball in for show, then changeup he fouled off, then another breaking ball, and that one was left over the middle of the plate. He probably thought he could get a looking one after he'd thrown everything straight between fastball and changeup there, but Green sat back on it, knowing his tendency to throw the breaking ball late in counts, and was able to hit it through the 6-hole.
Jordan Green was a .211 hitter entering this weekend. Now has 4 hits. And he's aboard for Davis Sharp, who's 0 for 2. You raise a good point about the pace of play, dialogue, especially in Major League Baseball. And you're right. You can talk about making different tweaks to increase the tempo of games, but at the same time, the way the game has evolved now, where you have more strikeouts than ever before, fewer balls that are put in play, so you don't see as many of those 1- and 2-pitch at-bats. Well, it doesn't matter what tweaks you make to pace of play, you have to solve that other part as well.
Yes, when guys are striking out 10-plus a game, which happens pretty much every time somebody gets on the mound now for the 27 outs, when you strike guys out, you're not going to throw 3 pitches to a batter most of the time. That might happen once a game, might not happen for 3 or 4 games. There's going to be 5, 6, 7 pitch at-bats, so that in itself makes the at-bats last longer.
Green drawing a couple of throws. He's 4 for 4 in stolen bases this year.
And until the game changes where they pay guys to put ball in contact more, or pay for guys not to go ahead.
Green caught off a first, breaking for a second. He slides right into the tag and runs the Tigers out of the inning. But the leadoff home run by Grayson Bird, his second bomb of the game. Tigers lead by 3. ESPN and the ACC bring you ACC Network coming August 2019. 15 universities all on one network. Visit getaccn.com to learn more. And, of course, the first football game to be broadcast on ACC Network. These 2 teams, Georgia Tech versus defending national champion Clemson. Georgia Tech set a spring game attendance record last night. First spring game under new head coach Jeff Collins, and his first official game as Yellow Jackets head coach will come in Death Valley as Jackson Webb starts off the Georgia Tech fifth with a swing and a miss.
What a way to start your tenure at Georgia Tech there. Always a close game. Tough place for Clemson to go play when they come here to Tech on the Plains.
Webb struck out his first time against Clark. There was quite an atmosphere around the Georgia Tech campus yesterday. This game was going on at Russ Chandler Stadium. 21,000 plus at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Watch the new era of Georgia Tech football.
If you timed it up right, you could have gone to softball game, football game, and baseball game.
Could have caught the end of all 3 games. Clark's 1-2, misses high.
There you see the 1-1 pitch before. It was a good breaking ball. Then he backed it up with another one there. Just missed the corner.
Sawed him off. It'll bounce softly. Running throw by Davidson, not in time.
Sometimes you get hits like that. I'm sure Webb will not detest to that. Now he's 2 for 2 for the day. Pretty good play by Davidson, though, right there.
Yeah, cut that off. He fired a bullet. Webb's hands might be stinging, but he leads off the Georgia Tech fifth with a hit.
He's probably hit 2 or 3 balls to dead center on a line that have been caught for an out this year, so it all evens out.
Brings up Nick Wilhite. He singled through the left side his first time. Tries to drop a bunt down, is fouled off. Umplin umpire Olindo Matia might have caught a little bit of, the ricochet or the back of Wilhite's bat.
Now with Webb's hit right there, that's the 3rd inning in a row that the leadoff guy's got on. Clark's been able to pitch around it twice, but again, Ratcliffe led off with a home run in the second. So that's something to look to keep be aware of as this game progresses.
We have 7 for 7 in stolen bases. And if they do put him in motion, Wilhite second on the team, 5 sack bunts, keeps the bat on the shoulder and takes a ball. Georgia Tech seeking its 30th win of the season, 14-8 in the ACC. In for a strike.
Very good breaking ball right there on the 1-1 count. Again, that flips a count from being a 2-1 count to a 1-2 count. Very big for a pitcher like Clark, who doesn't have overpowering stuff. Keeps him out of fastball counts.
Grounded deep in the hole, backhanded by Davidson, goes short for second, and he gets the force.
Good play there by Davidson, and to be able to make sure you get one out. Got to get one out right there, and not a bad piece of hitting, though. 2 strikes.
And Davidson showing the range. Not an easy task to get the speedy Webb, who had a pretty healthy lead off first. Still 1 on, but now 1 out. Top of the order in Waddell, who's 0 for 2.
Again, 3rd time to the order. Let's see how Tech changes their approach and how Clark changes his approach to their batters.
Whacked into left. First and second for the Jackets.
Great piece of hit right there. Not trying to do too much by the sophomore shortstop Waddell. Able to take a fastball to the 6-hole.
Georgia Tech had 2 on, 1 out in the 3rd. Couldn't scratch across a run. Michael Goldberg had one of those singles in the 3rd. He stands in. Get a mound visit before that as you take a look at the sophomore from Metro Atlanta, Michael Goldberg, still among the ACC's leaders in a .386 average.
And again, probably a good moment right here for Coach C to just change the momentum a little bit. You know, Clark's been doing a good job of getting out of jams when he needed to, attacking the zone. But now let's go over the scouting report a little bit. If you're, as what he's saying, let's go over the scouting report. Let's see what we want to do here. The 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, 3rd time through the order, as they're probably going to adjust to you. So big spot in the game for both teams.
Let me ask you, Matthew, as a former pitcher yourself, when you knew you were going through an order for the 3rd time, how did you approach that from a mental standpoint?
For me, I kind of had a photographic memory. Both my parents are high school coaches, so it's almost like a blessing and a curse. I can remember all 100 pitches I threw of an outing that night. So I kind of remembered in my mind, I had a running book of what I threw in each count and how I set guys up. So that's a lot of car rides with mom and dad back and forth to games of coaching points and teaching points, you know. So but you see Holt Jones getting loose down there, probably their 2nd best reliever for Clemson. So you can see they're all hands on deck here for a must-win for Clemson.
First pitch, grounded to short. Davidson waits on it, slings to second for 1. No throw on the relay. Like Goldberg records the fielder's choice, 1st and 3rd, but 2 away for the Jackets.
Again, great job right there by Clark. You know, one thing I've been told before from professional baseball coaches is, you know, you think of guys that throw inside and throw the ball hard, but truly the guys that throw softer need to throw inside more to keep guys off of balls away. And you saw Clark there being effective, getting the ball in on their hands so that they can't get their hands extended.
Now he has to take care of Kyle McCann, who's walked and struck out. McCann home runs in back-to-back games. He's got 16 on the year. And should he make it 3 consecutive games with a home run right here, this game would be on level terms.
Again, it'll be interesting to see the approach here. The first at bat, he really never got anything to hit with 2 outs in the first. And then the second at bat, they really went slider heavy, breaking ball heavy, and was able to strike him out.
Infield shifted with the shortstop Davidson playing behind the second base bag on the right field side for a pull hitter in McCann. You talked about your photographic memory of pitches you threw being a blessing and a curse. I imagine it was a curse because maybe the ones you threw that you didn't like or that were tagged, a little harder for that to flush from your memory.
Yes, I just started taking melatonin at a young age to get those bad outings out of the memory. Go to sleep. But that's the competitiveness. Most everyone, you've got to be able to live and forget, even more so as a position player because you're going to play the next day. But as a pitcher, if you're pitching 1 day a week, you've got to have a little bit of a memory so you can learn from your mistakes. As they say, if you don't learn from history, it'll repeat itself. So, again, big count right here, 2-0. Try to go breaking ball first 2 pitches, and a hitter's count right here.
Stays high, it's 3-0. The walk that Clark issued to McCann in the first inning, still the only walk he's allowed today.
Again, you go into a series, into a game, and you have guys that you do not want to let beat you. And this is the guy for the Georgia Tech lineup you don't want to let beat you.
Works him away, takes a 4-pitch walk. Georgia Tech has him loaded. So it brings up Tristan English. English has stranded 3 today. Both of his prior at-bats had runners on, 2 outs. He flew out to center in the first. And a line drive out to the shortstop Davidson in the third. Question is, will he face the left-hander in Clark, or will Monty Lee set up the right-on-right matchup?
You can see Coach Lee coming out to get him right here. You can see that it just kind of tells you the urgency in which this game is for Clemson. Going in with their best reliever here and Holt.
Well, it was an efficient 4 2/3 innings for starter Matt Clark. He'll turn things over to the Tiger bullpen. We'll give you the numbers coming up. New pitcher for the Tigers, the 6'8" righty sophomore Holt Jones. With bases loaded, 2 out for the Yellow Jacket. To see Jones's numbers, his 17th appearance. Better than a strikeout per inning. For the native of Santa Monica, California.
Big guy standing at 6'8" up on the mound. Intimidating figure up there. Usually sits anywhere from 92 to 95. Pretty much fastball slider. Really has been their second guy, their go-to guy when it comes to early game situations like this, whereas Spires has been their closer this year. So big spot. But again, a great job by Clark. But as Tom Glavine used to say, walks don't hurt you there. Even though it may not be the prototypical put a guy on, there was an open base to face the guy that you'd rather face than their 3-hole hard-to-order guy.
Now, Clark had been cruising. Has given up a pair of hits this inning. And even though he retired English both times, Monty Lee trying to set up a right-on-right matchup with his flamethrower Jones. And we'll see if that gambit pays off.
What a big spot in the game right here for both teams.
Georgia Tech's lone run on a Barron Radcliffe homer. And the first pitch is popped up behind home. Wilkie sheds the mask. He has room. No, he does not. Cleared the netting barely.
And again, you've probably heard me say it if you've listened to the game I've called. It's a big deal to be able to throw your breaking ball out of the pen with runners in scoring position coming in a big situation. What is your hitter thinking? First pitch I see that's over the plate, I'm swinging because I do not want to. The thought process, I do not want to fail. I do not want to swing and miss with runners in scoring position. So, very good job of first pitch breaking ball there. Almost got the inning.
Not a lot of room between home plate and the back screen. And that was to the benefit of English there. Another pitch, tee it off and fouls it off. Now, Tristan English isn't being shy against Jones. With his numbers, you can understand why. 302. 9 home runs, 38 RBIs.
And again, if you're Holt Jones here, you've got some pitches to play with. An 0-2 count. But the last thing you want is a yanked fastball, an 0-2 pitch to score a run.
Yanked into left. It sits down for a base hit. Bird tears after it. 2 runs come in. Tristan English makes it 4-3.
What a great piece of hitting right there. Fastball elevated over the outer half. Probably not where Jones wanted it, but just a great job there by English of stepping up when his team needed him.
See the hand speed by English.
Was able to get the barrel up to the ball, up in the zone, around the letters. Just a clutch hit right there. That's all you can say. And that's been the motto for their team this year, just getting clutch hits when they need to.
A 1-run game. It brings up Barron Radcliffe. Followed the solo homer to lead off the second with a strikeout to lead off the fourth. Takes one inside, 1-0.
Again, the best course of action is probably to crowd Ratliff, but you don't want to miss down and in the sweet spot to a lefty. So very tough at bat right here for Holt Jones.
Tying outside with a fastball. It's 2-0. Radcliffe's home run is 5th, a .243 average for the sophomore from Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Looked like he was taken on 2-0.
Well executed pitch right there.
And the dirt blocked by Wilkie. Jones's last appearance came 7 days ago against Duke. 4 innings, allowed 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts.
He's their old school term fireman. When they're the first side of trouble, he's the guy they bring in.
A big cut on 3-1. Radcliffe was on top of it, fouls it straight back to load the count.
And we saw him last night. He only had 1 hit, but he a clutch hit down the right field line for a double there, and was able to hit a home run earlier. Really looks like he's gaining confidence at the plate here. Looks like the home plate umpires had some trouble today.
Yeah, Lindo Mattia has the mask off again. Oh yeah, skimmed right off the top of his mask. He was stunned earlier this game during an at-bat by one of the Wilhites for Georgia Tech. So this is the second time Olinda Mattia has needed a couple extra seconds to gather himself. There's Georgia Tech athletic trainer for baseball, Paul Walkoff, as the rest of the crew converges around Olindo Mattia.
Russ Chandler Stadium hadn't been very nice to him.
No.
Making sure he's okay, not concussed.
Well, umpires are so used to giving catchers the professional courtesy, and as you know from being a pitcher, hand delivering that baseball out to the mound. And that courtesy obviously works both ways.
Big spot right here, 3-2, 2 outs. Runner at first is probably moving on the pitch. Ball for a hit, it's probably going to score 2 runs with a runner moving here. Anything in the outfield.
Lindo Mattia looks ready to go. So is Radcliffe, so is Jones. 3 balls, 2 strikes at the corners, and Georgia Tech trailing by 1, following the 2 RBI single by English. Here's the pitch. Popped up foul.
Again, best on best right there. A high fastball and a mighty cut there by Radcliffe.
Radcliffe only .214 this year with runners in scoring position. And the RBI double, like you mentioned, late last night. Uncorked high and outside, and the base is loaded again.
Holt Jones went breaking ball right there. 3-2 count. Looked like he didn't have as much confidence in throwing it right there. Kind of popped out of his hand. Bases loaded now.
The walk started to creep up on the Tigers here in the 5th. Loads the bases for Colin Hall, who's 0 for 2 today. Junior is 0 for his last 13, but if ever there a time to break out of his slump, it'd be right now.
And again, Monty Lee went to his best reliever in this situation. This is his spot.
And some chasing on a high hard one to even the count.
As a pitcher, as a hitter, you want to be in this situation. You know, this is the reason why you come to college, come to the ACC to play in these situations, and you want to be swinging the bat. You want to be making the pitches here.
High again. When you're 6'8", if you're going to miss on the fastball, more often than not, it's going to miss elevated.
Yeah, a lot of it's with bigger guys is a timing issue. Once they get their timing issue, there's a lot of downhill playing.
Kept that down, but it gets away. McCann breaking for home. Throw down by Wilkie. The tag by Jones, not in time. And the wild pitch draws this game even at 4.
Again, 2-1 fastball right there. Looked like they were set up away, and ball was cut across the plate, and Wilkie wasn't able to handle it right there.
Again, not much room between a home plate and the backstop, and it was a great recovery by Wilkie. And at 6'8", just couldn't snap that tag down on the sliding McCann. A 3 spot here in the Georgia Tech 5th. Runners at 2nd and 3rd now. And a 3-1 count on Hall. Well, that time Holt was able to get that ball down, but too far down for his liking, and he loses the battle with Hall to load the bases once more.
Again, what did we say the key was today for the Tigers is can they keep their walks down? There was only 1 going in this inning. Now there are 4 on the game, 3 this inning.
All the runs will be charged to Matt Clark.
Really threw the ball well today.
Threw better than his final line will suggest. Here's Austin Wilhite, checks his swing, didn't go, takes a ball.
And as a pitcher right here, everybody's been in these situations where they get up a hit, then they kind of start aiming the ball in there. And right now, looks like he's trying to place it in there instead of throwing it with conviction.
Another one that gets away. And everybody has to stay put. Runner at 3rd was English. Thought about breaking for home. He instead uses some discretion. Radcliffe and Hall were the runners behind him. They didn't get caught in between. And now Holt Jones is in a world of trouble.
See Coach C going out there to kind of settle him down a little bit. In this spot, he's trying to tell him, come on, man, we believe in you. Try to be the answer. We don't want you to be a guy we have to take the ball away from. Be the answer for us and get us back in here, give us a chance to score some more. And you've got to be ecstatic if you're Coach Hall and Coach Ramsey over at third base for your offensive approach so far, being able to control the strike zone, only swing at your pitches, then take advantage with runners in scoring position and get big hits. Something they've done all year, and that's the reason why they've won 6 straight AC series.
2 balls and no strikes. Carson Spires, you saw on your screen a moment ago, warming in the Clemson bullpen. Tristan English is at 3rd base. If he were to do it over again, would he have maybe made a charge for home? Georgia Tech has been very aggressive, grabbing extra bases throughout the year. Fouled away, 2-1. But these players, certainly Georgia Tech players, know the dimensions of Russ Chandler Stadium better than anyone, and that ball can rocket off the back brick. I mean, get back inside batter's box quickly.
There is padding back there, but it's brick behind it, so you never know how it's going to bounce back.
Well, it's a low bridge out of the way. It's 3-1.
This might be Holt Jones' last batter right here. They're probably getting Spires going right here. If you're Wilhite, you can be selective because he's got to throw you 2 straight here.
I wonder if the take might be on for Wilhite, who's 0 for 2. And time called by Wilkie, the catcher. A 2 RBI single by Tristan English. And consecutive walks to Radcliffe and Hall. A wild pitch scored the game-tying run. And the 3-1 is up high. Georgia Tech takes the lead. So the walks, like last night, and rear their ugly head for the Tigers. And for the first time today, Clemson trails, and out comes Monty Lee.
Again, Coach Lee having to go to the bullpen and try to find an answer from his team here.
Holt Jones just could not keep that fastball down. Carson Spires will get the call out of the Tiger bullpen. 4 runs across for Georgia Tech and still bases loaded. Give you the numbers on the new Tiger arm after this. Georgia Tech has jumped on Clemson to the tune of 4 runs with 2 outs in the 5th. They still have bases loaded, 2 outs. Holt Jones unable to get that 3rd out. 3 consecutive walks, including the RBI by Wilhite, to put the Jackets in front. They turn things over to the right-hander Carson Spires, the junior from Greenville, South Carolina. ERA just north of 2, 31 strikeouts and 31 in the 3rd innings pitched. Give us the book on Carson Spires and what makes him the guy that Monty Lee trusts to get this final out.
You know, he's a veteran presence in the bullpen. He's a guy that that they trust in any situation to come in and stop the fire. And you can kind of see how big of a situation it is to bring your closer in the 5th inning, how big a game it is for Clemson. And he can throw his fastball, changeup, or slider in any count when he needs it. And just has a veteran presence on the mound there, someone they really trust late games.
Clemson fans have trusted the Spires name for generations. The name
Yes,
carries some cachet. Jackson Webb is the 10th batter of the inning. Singled to lead off the 5th. Struck out his other at-bat in the 2nd. Webb 1 for 5 this weekend. 317 on the year. Takes a whack and fouls it away. And what's interesting is that, go back to that Tristan English 2 RBI single with bases loaded earlier this inning. Clemson Tiger pitchers had only allowed 4 hits in 36 at-bats with bases loaded this year.
Staggering stat right there.
Low and inside, 1-1. So while you'd rather not see your staff run into many bases-loaded situations throughout a year, though they are inevitable, 4 for 36, that is about 111. Webb does not have a hit with bases loaded this year. Fly ball sinking into left, coming on is Bird, and he makes the running catch. But Georgia Tech strikes for 4. We head to the 6th at Russ Chandler Stadium. Tech 5, Tigers 4.
I'll be right back.
Georgia Tech leaves the bases loaded, but the damage was done in the Jacket 5th. 4 runs to take the lead 5-4. As Clemson now finds itself down for the first time, they're trying today to snap an 8-game ACC losing streak. Trouble started in Tallahassee where they got swept. Swept versus Duke. Of course, they didn't have their starter Matt Clark in that series. And after falling 8-7 last night, now on the back foot again. As we move to the 6th inning, Davis Sharp leads off against Connor Thomas. With that being said, Clemson 4 runs, 8 hits against Thomas. You've been in that dugout as a starting pitcher yourself, Matthew, where you're down and then a big inning by your offense. You toe that rubber again the next time out. You got a lead, just changes things up as that ball squeezes through for a leadoff base hit by Sharp.
Again, if you're Thomas, you've got to be happy, ecstatic with that, with your offensive approach there, getting you back in the game. And the last thing you want to see is a first batter of the inning getting on there, Thomas, in his perspective. But he's got good enough stuff to get a ground ball no play right here. But you got to love the approach if you're Monty Lee, if you're hitters, being able to stay in it and answer right back.
Brings up Justin Hawkins, 1 for 2 with an RBI. Hawkins at .233 on the year, making his 7th start of the season.
But again, Tech's offense plays so well the days that Thomas pitches. They're 6-1 in the ACC the day he pitches. They just know he's going to be around the plate, and he's going to give them a chance to win the game. And it says something about the offense being willing to. They know they're going to be in the game. They know he's not going to put many people on. It's going to be a quick game. They play well behind him.
In under the hands for his strike. It's 1-1. There's a change in perspective for Connor Thomas. The last time he started when Tech was up 1-0 in the series was against Louisville, March 22nd. 5 straight series snapped on Friday where Georgia Tech lost the opening game.
Very
Yet
odd.
they won all 5 of those series.
Very odd. It's not something you want to get in the habit of doing, especially super regional time of year, to lose the first game, put yourself in a hole. But it seems like they really have played well on Saturdays and Sundays here at Tech.
Got on and missed.
And you can see the change of approach here. Thomas last time against Hawkins, after him getting a hit on a first pitch slider, not going to run in the second there. He's going primarily fastballs in and changeups away. Not too many breaking balls. Looks like Hawkins has seen his breaking ball pretty well today.
Swing and a miss.
Another changeup right there.
Yeah, went to the one tailing on Hawkins. An 8th strikeout for Thomas following the leadoff single.
And again, great job there. You're happy that at Thomas that they got some runs for you, but that's a long time to sit in the dugout. And that's sometimes hard. People don't realize it's very hard to sit there for 25 minutes without throwing a ball after you've been in a rhythm of getting up and down every 5-10 minutes.
One away for Teodosio, who's 0 for 1, walked back in the second. Still searching for his first hit of the weekend. Were you one of those guys that would just toss in front of the dugout during pitching changes when you knew your offense was in the midst of a big inning?
Yes, I always had a band in the dugout to kind of keep my arm going, and I always had like a Walmart weighted baseball, a 2-pound ball, like you find at Gold's Gym or something.
Okay.
And just did some arm circles with it and some fake throws just to stay loose, because when I was playing, you could only have 5 pitches in between innings.
Golfed into left, and that gets down by the number 9 hitter, Teodosio. The Tigers flip the order over, first and second with 1 away.
It's a big hit for Teodosio's confidence right there after having the eye incident. And kind of an odd pitch right there, a 1-0 changeup. Not a terrible pitch, was a little bit up, and he got jammed on it. You don't see that very often, getting jammed on a changeup.
After surrendering 4 runs in the Georgia Tech 5th, 2 on, 1 away for the Tigers, and it brings up Hall, who's 1 for 3. Every pitcher is different. There are some guys, they don't mind being spectator for a 20, 25-minute half inning.
Yeah, everyone's different. Exactly. That's why you don't treat pitchers exactly the same. Everybody's a little bit different in the approach they like to take. In most games when Clemson has gone well, Sam Hall has been a big key part of it and been the answer to a lot of things. See McCann go out there to check on his pitcher to give that bullpen a little extra time. He saw the bullpen get going there when the first guy got on. Start the 6th.
85 pitches for Thomas. And it's Hugh Chapman. Faced one batter last night, the sophomore.
That's one thing Coach Hall does a good job of, is he uses his bullpen. Might be a lot of long games, but gets the most out of his pitching staff.
Sam Hall, 2 hits for the series. 7 home runs, 27 RBIs for the Tigers' leadoff man. Browns on a long third foul.
Again, there's a lot of game left here in the top of the 6th. At this park, especially later in the year, the ball really flies to right field, any part of this field really. But Clemson knows it's a must-win for them, and they're not going to give up.
I've already ramped out 10 hits against Thomas. Came in with an opponent batting average of .243. Up and away, 2-1. Sharp at second. Teodosio at first.
See Thomas a little frustrated with himself right there. Kind of pushed that changeup underneath it like a shot put. You see him kind of making the motion to try to self-correct.
Paints the corner, 2-2. Hall is playing right field today. Bo Mikowski, who's been struggling for the Tigers of late, has the day off. He started last night. Hall was in left field yesterday.
Probably their most athletic player on the team, but they had some key injuries between Teodosio going down and Keir Meredith and Michael Green. Both will be back next week. All outfielders that probably their best lineups when Hall's at second base.
Ground ball up the middle. It ricochets off the leg of Thomas and into short left. Throw down to third, not in time. RBI, and we are tied at 5 as the inning continues for the Tigers.
What a big
sharp comebacker. And that took a deflection that Connor Thomas did not want.
Right off the ankle right there. Tough break for Thomas and good break for Clemson because they got runners on first and third. Tie game with arguably their best hitter up.
Yeah, you're hoping just to knock that down with your leg. You've been there before, but boy, that's a hard hit ball and a very narrow leg. Sometimes it's tough to smother it. So at the corners with a run in, it brings up Davidson, who struck out twice. Impressive response by the Tigers.
Again, you've got to be happy if you're Coach Lee and the resiliency of this team that the no quit to this offense after getting a big lead and surrendering it.
And it's 2-0 to Davidson. Davidson has also walked and scored. Second straight game where, at least right now, Clemson is out-hit Tech by a comfortable margin. 11 for the Tigers, 6 for the Jackets. We're knotted at 5. Tapped off the plate, 2-1.
Again, Thomas has struggled a little bit today and given up some runs, but again, the pitchability factor of being able to throw a 2-0 changeup in there just in big situations like this is key and crucial for him. You see its pitch count kind of climbing up now at 93. Jackets bullpen already going, so might be close to his last batter or two.
And Grayson Bird is on deck, and he's touched up Thomas for 2 home runs today. Thomas's season high in pitch count was 103. Did that March 16th versus Virginia. Breaking ball grounded out to short. Waddell bobbles, throws to second, not in time. Run scores, and the Tigers take the 6-5 lead.
Again, good job of situationally hitting, being able to put the ball in play. Last night they had some guys on base who weren't able to get the guys in. So what a job right there, and what a great answer by Clemson. If you're a Clemson fan, you got to be happy with that.
So that slight bobble by Waddell denied a potential force out. Even had he gotten the out, the run would have scored anyway, but the Tigers have pushed 2 across in the 6th with 2 on, still 1 out, and here comes Danny Hall. And what is shaping up, should he make the hook, and he does, to be the second shortest outing of Connor Thomas's season. So new pitcher for the Tigers. Georgia Tech took the lead with a 4 spot in the 5th. 2 here for Clemson. They lead in the 6th. Back and forth affair this Saturday afternoon in Atlanta. Clemson leads at 6-5. New Tech pitcher is the sophomore Hugh Chapman, ERA of 4. His 10th appearance came last night when he struck out his lone batter, hard-throwing right-hander. I guess a Clemson team that has already knocked around 3 singles in this 6th inning. He'll have to face Grayson Bird, who, after a foul out in his first at-bat, He said back-to-back home runs against Connor Thomas. Thomas responsible for both runners on. Not quite the same efficiency and crispness that we've seen out of Connor Thomas this 2019 season.
Yeah, I don't think you can I think he threw the ball fine. Maybe left some pitches up in the zone that he usually does not, but you got to give credit. I think there's more credit due to Clemson than fault to Thomas there.
Yeah.
Team in a desperate situation, just to be quite frank, to try to get back in the winning ways, and they've done a great job of continue to play, continue to try to answer in these adverse situations.
See the updated line on Thomas, 12 hits, a season high allowed, did strike out 8. Responsible for all 6 runs, and both runners on base. Grayson Byrne, Grayson Beard, whatever you want to call him, he's been effective today.
You think he's swinging first pitch right here?
Yeah,
2 swings, 2 home runs. So.
Yeah, worked for him the last 2 at-bats. Yes, he was. Sends it into deep center. It'll be playable, though, for Wilhite. Makes the grab. Hall tags up. Both runners advance into scoring position. Throw down to second, not in time. And output is a productive one for Bird.
Just missed that ball right there. I think they were trying to go in and crowd him at the plate, and they missed low over the plate and just got underneath it there. Really seeing the ball well today for Beard.
Bird has a 3 home run game in his Clemson career. Did that against Georgia Southern several years back. Didn't make it 2. Instead, 2 outs, and it brings up Kyle Wilkie, who's 2 for 3. Wilkie a ground out to third his last time. Big overhand breaking ball by Chapman drops in.
Big spot in this game, and it makes a big difference with Hawkins back in the lineup for Clemson, that Georgia Tech can't just put Wilkie on because they have a threat in the 5-hole now.
Last night it was Georgia Tech that rallied with 3 runs in the 7th. Took an 8-4 lead and held off Clemson. Plated 3 runs across the final 2 innings, but couldn't get the tying runner home. Off the plate, a foul, 1-2. Clemson team that came in batting .256. And this series, they have certainly not looked like a .256 hitting team. Trying to even this series at 1. Chapman fires. Up high.
Looked like a breaking ball popped out of his hand right there. Want a new ball. They got a weird seam, weird cut on the seam there.
You've thrown so many pitches in your life. You know when there's one stitch out of place, don't you?
Yeah, and sometimes, let's don't kid ourselves. It's not always the ball's fault. Just you need to blame something else besides yourself sometimes. You walk a guy on 4 straight, it wasn't the ball. It's probably you, so it's got to change the mojo sometimes.
Grounded behind third again. Fielded by Webb. Unloads quickly. And the inning comes to a close for the Tigers, but they score 2 on 3 hits. To the bottom of the 6th, Tigers back in front.
In the top of the 6th inning,
Clemson with a pair of runs on 3 hits in the top of the 6th to retake the lead. Georgia Tech sends 9-1-2 to the plate against the right-hander Carson Spires, who got that final out of the Georgia Tech 5th. Georgia Tech was down 4-1, but then 4 runs crashed across against the combination of starter Matt Clark and the reliever Holt Jones. But impressive response scripted in the top of the 6th by the Tigers to chase Connor Thomas from the game. And even though Carson Spires is a reliever and used to closing things out, Matthew, you have a hunch that maybe Monty Lee, if he can get away with it, will try to use him until the 9th.
I think this is his game. Unless the pitch count just gets out of control, I think he's 3 or 4 ups worth of being in the game, meaning getting in at least 3 full innings, maybe 4. That they need this game very much so.
Trying to snap that 8-game ACC losing streak.
Worry about tomorrow when it gets here.
Yeah.
Again, that's a tall task against this lineup at Georgia Tech.
Nick Wilhite behind 0-2. Wilhite, a single and a fielder's choice.
Again, if you're Coach Lee, you're looking for an answer right here. Can you get a shutdown inning after responding like that in the top half?
Strike on the outside corner. Wilhite set down on 3 pitches.
Stayed hard the whole time. Went 2 straight fastballs away, fouled off, and I guess he was sitting breaking ball and just threw a fastball right there. Froze him on the outside corner.
Spires has pitched in the midweek win versus Tennessee Tech. A third of an inning, an inning and a third of hitless, scoreless ball. Struck out 3, didn't walk a batter. Top of the order now in Waddell.
First pitch change up there. Waddell hit a single the other way on first pitch fastball last at bat.
And he's ahead 2-0. Spires also pitched in the Tuesday midweek game versus Winthrop and threw 2 innings.
Yes, 3 ups. Came in the middle of an inning, then threw then continuation of the next 2 innings. So he's got quite a bit of work this year. Talking to Coach C before the game yesterday, he felt like he was available last night if they needed him to be. But and he was getting up in the bottom of the ninth, top of the ninth when Clemson was threatening. But again, you don't particularly want to have to throw him every game.
Trying to clench onto this momentum. There's a 3-0 to Waddell.
You saw it to the 3-0 pitch, a little frustration there by Spires, which, as a competitor, I kind of like. You can respect that. He's not going to accept that from himself. That's the guy you want on the mound out there. It's a key situation.
Deals high to Waddell. It's a 1-pitch walk in the Georgia Tech 6th. Another dynamic to consider as this game continues to be played tight late. Georgia Tech won't have Tristan English available tonight. He earned a 6-out save in their midweek win versus Georgia Tuesday and then threw 40 pitches yesterday across 2 innings to earn the win. Didn't qualify for the save, and almost knocks him out of potential action tonight. Goldberg, first pitch swinging, elevates it into right center. Hall is underneath it. Make that Sam Hall. 2 away.
Battling the sun out there in right field. Looked like he may have had to hold up for it, but was able to recover and get it, and almost deked the runner at second base there.
And that is something every right fielder will tell you about. That sun can be blinding out of Russ Chandler.
Well, we've got a runner goes to second there on obstruction call.
Oh, wow.
By the first base umpire, saying that Sharp didn't allow him to get back the bag. So it was going to be a close play at first.
Finally gets a quick explanation from home plate umpire Olindo Mattia. Does put a runner in scoring position. And take a look at Waddell sprinting back into first. And was it obstruction?
Oh, no, it wasn't obstruction. Sorry, that was a balk.
Wow, you're right.
Balk.
Wow, so take
guys.
away the out. So runner on second now, 1 away still.
My bad.
I think what threw us off, Matthew, is that oftentimes balks are called before the throw reaches home or before there's a swing to put a ball in play.
Yeah, I guess they called a balk, and you can have the continuation play. So if it's put in play, you can pick between the offense. But I didn't see anybody blatantly call balk there.
I think that call was from the first base umpire, Derek Malika. Bloop into left base hit. A hard turn through third by Waddell. Bird not a natural left fielder. And the Jackets have responded with runners at the corners and 1 away.
Again, what a big change of momentum right there. Go from 2 outs, runner on first, and now first and third, 1 out. But again, how did he get called for the balk there? In college and in high school ball, you've got to come to a discernible stop. Sometimes you can get away with it in the big leagues, kind of the rocking move. Josh Hader for the Brewers, lefty with long hair, he does a really good job of kind of creating his own momentum, rocking back and forth, and letting go of the pitch. But looks like they called it there.
At the corners, one away for Kyle McCann, the 3-hole hitter who's walked a pair of times tonight. Lays off and takes a strike.
Again, what a big situation right here. Probably the best pitcher guy Clemson wants on the mound for them, and probably arguably the best hitter, power threat, McCann at the plate. Best on best here.
McCann popped his 16th home run last night. A big home run swing there, but he falls behind 0-2.
Saw him chase a fastball up. Be interesting how they attack this runner here.
The 0-2 on the way. Grounded out to second. Flip by Green to Davidson. Oh, but the transfer was dropped by Davidson. The run scores, and we're tied at 6 on what looked to be a room service double play to get out of the Georgia Tech 6th.
Yeah, ground ball right to second base. Probably not the best 0-2 pitch execution-wise. Was able to get the result you wanted, and just uncharacteristically comes right out of Davidson's glove right there. He's been so solid defensively for the Tigers.
And he would have been able to gun down McCann at first with room to spare. Instead, McCann reaches. And this game is tied up.
See Coach Lee going out there trying the best he can to see if maybe interference would have been
warranted there.
Warranted there.
And Linda Mattia will call in the rest of the umpires, see if they had a different look of it.
Again, very big play in this game.
Yeah, take a run off the board. So right now it's called a fielder's choice, and we will have this come under review. There's a hard-hit ground ball by Kyle McCann to Jordan Green at second. Had a long shovel toss across to Davidson, and as he was grazing across the bag, lost the ball on the transfer. The question now, was there interference on Goldberg, who was the runner going into second? So as it stands now, tied at 6. Tristan English set to come up.
Again, what a change to this game that this play would be one way or the other.
These are the same replay views that the umpires will have. You focus on Goldberg. Was he out of the base path? Was he trying to slide into Davidson?
Hard to tell from there. Looks like the ball was coming out of his glove. Can't tell if it was before the slide or as the slide was happening. Definitely on the right side of the base there, but don't know where the gray area is exactly.
See him starting to turn his shoulder for that slide to the right field corner of the bag. Didn't look like he brought his arms up or anything like that to try to distract Davidson. Or
looked like a clean slide there, but looks like the umpires might be coming out here in a minute.
It's always like the papal enclave when they're choosing a new pope. We just take a look there at the gates. And the call stands. There's some confusion from Clemson because the initial signal from the umpires who saw him come out was out, but that was only to point to Goldberg that he was indeed out on the force. Everybody else was safe. James Ramsey, Georgia Tech third base coach, usually among the first to get word on the ruling, and his Yellow Jackets will still bat in the 6th.
It's kind of a fake out right there.
Yeah.
Saw Clemson start celebrating a little bit, then said, oh no, wait a minute.
Strike on the inside corner to English. Ripped a 2 RBI single his last at bat.
What a big spot that was with 2 outs in the 5th with a reliever coming in. Clutch hit.
Well, out in front of the breaking ball by Spires. You know, what's interesting is that I think the umpires had changed their signals because after review, if a call stands, you put your arms out as if it were to say safe, but if the call on the field was an out, then you're confusing everybody thinking that they've overturned it, and the runner was safe after all. Ball bounces in. McCann breaks for second. Off-balance throw by Wilkie. It's not in time, and the Jackets have a go-ahead runner in scoring position.
Again, another runner in scoring position. Very athletic move there by McCann, being able to move up on the ball there, and he showed the same ability when when he scored on a pass ball early in the game.
Did you give your catchers grief over their running ability or lack thereof, or did you rely on them too much to frame up your pitches that you didn't want to give them even that ribbing?
No, they're your best friends. you don't mess with the catchers now.
You're complimenting them on their speed.
You're complimenting the whole time, yeah.
Even if they're not that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to make you look either really good or really bad each day, and you want to make it look really good.
Okay, he has to jam the earpiece back in.
I do think that's a great addition to college baseball now, having the earpieces, so they don't have to go through all the million signs that pitching coaches used to. You used to have a guy that on each team that would travel, just the only thing he would do would steal signs. Every team had somebody like that, so it kind of takes that factor out of the game now. You just kind of play pure baseball.
Wilkie gives the sign to Spires, and the 1-2 to English. Gets down low to spoil that off. Waddell second on the team in RBIs with 40. Trailing only McCann, who's at second base, representing the go-ahead run. Now another 1-2. Cut on, stroked, center field, Teodosio. Out number 3, but Georgia Tech scores. No runs, a hit. Potential double play. Instead, a run across, and we're tied at 6. Six all. Peek inside the Clemson dugout. Huddle's not just for football. What was going on in that huddle inside the Tigers dugout before we start the 7th, Matthew?
You saw Coach C kind of gather all the pitchers, either in the bullpen or that were in the dugout, and kind of get them together and say, hey, guys, let's get this together. Hey, our offense has been helping us out while we struggled. Let's figure this out. Let's attack batters. Let's be an answer. Let's try to hold a lead if we get one.
RBI on the fielder's choice by Kyle McCann to knot this game at 6. The first offering to Briar Hawkins is rung up on a check swing for a strike. Hawkins 4 for 5 last night. He's 0 for 3 today, riding an 11-game hitting streak. Out of nearby Cumming, Georgia, prepped at West Forsyth High School. Hugh Chapman on the mound. And he's behind 2-1. Clemson has scored in 4 of its 6 innings. In all 4 innings, leadoff man reached. 2 non-scoring innings, the leadoff batter was retired.
Speaks to the importance of getting the leadoff batter out each inning.
And that one glances off of Hawkins, a hit by pitch. And a good omen perhaps for the Tigers as the leadoff man reaches.
Second baseman, number 9, Jordan Green.
It's right off the elbow pad. Now remember the new rules in college baseball that make it a little harder to earn those hit by pitches, and so the umpire is going to confer here, and they will call for review.
I understand what they're trying to get to in this rule. But sometimes it kind of takes the flow of the game out here. It's very confusing talking to different coaches on the telecast. what is a hit by pitch, and how do you? It's a natural reaction to if the ball's coming in to turn and brace yourself, or do you jump out of the way? I mean, we'll see the reaction here. Again, I guess technically he didn't make a attempt to get out of the way of that one. I don't know how the rule reads exactly, but that looks just like a batter standing his ground there. I don't think that's from the college perspective. 15, 20 years ago, guys used to throw their shoulders out to get hit. So I don't know. And you see English talking about it with him there. Like, what are you supposed to do as a hitter?
And English is an expert on hit by pitches. He's got 17 of them, which is top 10 in the nation. But he, too, we saw this earlier in a series at Russ Chandler Stadium, had a hit by pitch taken away from him.
I think it's kind of like the targeting rule in football. Like, you know, what exactly is it? If the guy ducks his head and you level yours, what do you do?
Well, the call stands, so it is a hit by pitch.
And I think both teams are okay with that if it's called consistently that way.
Leadoff man on for the Tigers. It brings up Jordan Green, who's had himself a fine day in the 6-hole. Pair of singles, also reached on an E5. But it was a hard hit ball that he shot toward third. Trying to lay a bunt down, pulls it back, and takes a strike.
You see there Chapman's ability to throw his breaking ball for a strike. He's really had good command of that since coming in.
Second appearance of the weekend for the sophomore Hugh Chapman. Blocked by McCann, 1-1.
And you might expect to see more small ball played this deep in the game, but this field plays so small when the wind's blowing on a later in the season, late April game. So one run may not win it here. Might have to score more than one, especially the pace that both these offenses are going at.
Another one snapped off. Ball and 2 strikes. Georgia Tech pitchers struck out 11 yesterday. Connor Thomas exited with 8 strikeouts. And the 1-2 to Green. Bounce behind third and fair. It tucks into the corner. Hawkins into third. He's getting sent around. Relay home, not in time. And just like that, the Tigers have retaken the lead.
Again, a big swing right there by Green. That's his third 2-strike hit so far in this series. Great job by the redshirt senior there.
First baseman, number 30, Davis Sharp.
Ducked inside the line, and a lot of speed by Hawkins. He had the boomstick. Yeah, he brought it there with 2 strikes. Hit number 13 for the Tigers. Here's Sharp, who's 1 for 3, singled and scored to lead off the 6th. And again, just to paint the picture of how back and forth this game has been. Clemson was up 4-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Georgia Tech struck for 4, took the 5-4 lead. Top of the 6th, Clemson 2 back. They regained the 6-5 lead. Tech tied it with the run in the bottom of the 6th, and now a run across for the Tigers to make it 7-6, and Sharp is ahead of Chapman 2-0.
Again, you got to be impressed with the resiliency of both these offenses being able to come back after your team gave up some runs in your half of the inning.
Big cut on 2-0. Sharp can't catch up to the fastball. We've seen this from both sides as well, Matthew. Strikeouts, obviously, for Clemson. They've had 8. But both Clemson and Georgia Tech have had some impressive 2-strike swings to put balls in play, get hits.
Yes, I mean, With the advancement of baseball, the guys have better stuff now, better fastballs, better all-speed pitches that spin more. So there is going to be some swing and miss late in counts, but the adjustments they made have been quite good with 2 strikes.
And one bounces high in front of the home plate. It's an out by Sharp, but Green advances to third with 1 out.
Again, didn't hit it hard, but did the job. Got the guy over to third, trying to tack on a lead here.
Urban tackle pulling its infield now for Hawkins, who followed an RBI single in the second with 2 strikeouts. Wonder how much Monty Lee might be contemplating a squeeze in this situation. Green does have plenty of speed at third. Rosen on the breaking ball, 0-1.
Hawkins has 1 big hit so far, knocked in a run in the second, but also has 2 strikeouts. So look for him to choke up on the bat a little bit and try to put the ball in play.
Bounces it towards Waddell. Snow cones it. Run comes across. Even with the drawn-in infield, that big hop drives in a run, and Clemson takes the 8-6 lead.
And you said it right there, Andy. That's the only ball in the infield that could have scored a run. 2 straight balls that hit right in front of the plate and hopped up in the air. Little situational hitting right there. Good job by the Tigers.
Yeah, 6 through 9 in the order have done a nice job for Monty Lee. Base is empty, but 2 runs in. 2 outs for Teodosio. Flashes a bunt, takes a strike. Teodosio with a single and a walk. Sophomore from Simpsonville, South Carolina. This one hit a mile high, but pulled foul.
That was halfway up the indoor football facility right there, Andy.
Yeah, if you get up close at that siding of the John and Mary Brock football facility, you'll see more than your share of dings courtesy of Georgia Tech over the years. Teodosio does have 8 home runs on the year for a 9-hole hitter. And gets underneath this one. Will Height. 2 runs, though, for the Tigers as we stretch in Atlanta. It's Clemson 8, Georgia Tech 6. Well, the shutdown inning has been a scarce commodity today. Clemson will look for one after striking for 2 in the top of the 7th to take an 8-6 lead. Radcliffe Hall and Will Height do up for the Yellow Jackets. Carson Spires on the mound. Radcliffe a solo home run in the second, also walked in the 5th.
We'll see if Coach C's message got through the last half inning to his pitching staff.
Nobody warming behind Spires.
I think this is his game, and you can kind of get on an older guy a little bit because, you know, he's got a little tough skin. So maybe it's a good time to have a meeting like that. May not want to do that with a freshman on the mound.
Yeah.
You know, the first time pitching in a big situation. But you know he's got tough skin. If he's your closer, he can take a talking to like that. That wasn't directed so much towards him, but the whole pitching staff in general.
Low and outside, 2-1. Georgia Tech up by 1 game over North Carolina for the Coastal Division lead. Jackets have the tiebreaker. They took 2 of 3 from the Tar Heels several weeks back in Atlanta. Clemson trying to move back above 500. 11-11 coming in the ACC. Losers of 8 straight in conference, which when the Tigers were 11-3, few could have predicted.
Yeah, first time in team hit in school history losing 8 straight conference games.
2-2 to Radcliffe is down low.
Sets up a big pitch right here, 3-2. Don't want to put him on, want to leave him there running, but don't want to throw him a cookie over the middle of the plate. He's already deposited 1 into the scoreboard earlier in the game.
Spires started the 6th with a strikeout. See what he does on 3-2 to Radcliffe. Same result. Foul tip officially, 1 away.
Big pitch right there, 3-2. Both guys knowing fastball is coming. Pitcher knew it and hitter knew it too, but well-executed pitch beat the hitter there. Can't put it in a better spot with Ratcliffe, who's really seeing the ball well today.
Boy, those buttons on his jersey are just cosmetic, aren't they? Hard hit ground ball, and it scoots through for Colin Hall. One out, base hit, and for Hall, that snaps an 0 for 13 streak.
Fastball out over the plate. Got his hands extended, was able to get a hit right there. Again, some guys like to have certain buttons unbuttoned. You've usually got two buttons on top there, and you got one that kind of keeps the script Clemson together and kind of showing off the chest a little bit.
A foul by Austin Wilhite.
Sometimes guys wear those big chains too, and those chains get caught up in the buttons and kind of can mess things up a little bit.
Wasn't it Brian Wilson, the closer for the San Francisco Giants, who maybe was the pioneer of that, where he'd take some liberties with the buttons?
Yeah, showed off the chest hair a little bit there when he did it.
He's also one of the first relievers to really put the beard in vogue.
Yes.
He was a good reliever, but obviously a fashion pioneer as well for a lot of these pitchers.
Some branding right there.
Yes, indeed. The former LSU Tiger, Brian Wilson. No balls, 2 strikes to Wilhite.
Good 0-2 pitch right there. Had a purpose to it. Setting up the next one right here on the 1-2 pitch.
Gets down low and deposits it into right. Well, that is some tough hitting on 2 strikes. Wilhite able to put him at first and second.
Good piece of hitting right there. Breaking ball down, but it was down and in. Didn't really get over to the part of the plate where he wanted it. A little bit easier for a batter to get it on a down and in pitch as opposed to down and away.
Austin Wilhite's first hit of the series. Brings up Jackson Webb, the left-hander's 1 for 3.
1 for 3 with also a line out to end the 5th his last time up. So seeing the ball pretty well today so far in the 8-hole.
He's been seeing the ball well ever since he took over third base for Oscar Serratos, the UCF transfer. Checks his swing, takes low 2-0.
You know, as they like to say, each opportunity for each guy isn't created equal, but you've got to take advantage of the little time you get or the more time you get, and he certainly has. And getting more at bats has become comfortable, and you know, Coach Hall can't be any happier with your 8-hole hitting 311 for the season.
Began the year mostly as a defensive replacement at first base, and Tristan English would come in to close. Outside corner for a called strike.
Good job by Wilkie there, still on a strike. Probably was a little bit off the plate there. As you hear the Georgia Tech faithful, not too happy about it.
There's an art of deception with the catchers as well. Here comes the 2-1 to Webb. High fly ball, deep right field. Back is Hall at the track, off the top of the wall. Nearly a home run. 1 run is going to come in. Nearly cleared the fences as the ball bounces in front of the mound. That allows Webb to take an extra base. It's now 8-7, nearly a 3-run homer by Webb.
What a great swing right there on the 2-1 fastball. Was able to get his barrel underneath it and hit it right off the yellow marker on the wall. Scores 1 and has 2 more in scoring position now.
That was off the yellow line, and Hall...
I think Hall thought it was gone.
He did. Look at him look up over the yellow line. Look at that ricochet. All the way out to medium center for Teodosio. And so now second and third, with 1 away for the number 9 hitter, Nick Wilhite. And there's still plenty of work to do for the Tigers to preserve this lead, but inches away from seeing that 8-6 lead evaporate. And it brings up Wilhite, who's 1 for 3. His twin brother Austin at third base. Ground ball pulled behind first. 1 run comes in. Webb around from second. Nick Wilhite coasts into second, and the Jackets now in front. A 2 RBI double by the 9-hole hitter to make it 9-8.
What a good piece of hitting, being ready to swing the bat right there in a key situation. That's his second hit from the 9-hole. What a productive weekend he's had so far in the 9-hole there by Wilhite.
Guy was a 188 hitter a year ago. Comes through in the clutch. Boy, no lead has been saved today. Unbelievable. Both teams have scored runs in the last 3 innings. Four lead changes since the bottom of the 5th.
It's like a Big 12 football game right here.
It is.
Looks like the equivalent of Oklahoma, West Virginia this past year.
Man.
Each team answering. But again, you got to feel kind of, in one sense, Coach Hall feels great about his offense and what they've done, but you've also got to feel kind of helpless over there in the Tigers' dugout when you got your 2 best relievers saved and ready to go for this game, and they haven't pitched up to their standards that they would say for themselves.
Top of the order in Waddell. His last 2 at-bats, a single and a walk. Takes a strike on the edge. Here in the bottom of the 7th, and remember, Tristan English, according to Danny Hall, when we caught up with him before the game, not available to throw. Earned the save on Tuesday, but worked 2 innings to do so versus Georgia. 2 innings yesterday, 40 pitches expended. And so who may be called upon out of that Georgia Tech bullpen over these last 2 innings?
And they've got a long season ahead. English can't be the only guy that answers for them each time they need somebody in the bullpen. So probably keep his inning load down. Hopefully he'll be ready to go tomorrow and Sunday. Throwing 3 times a week is plenty if he threw on Sunday, because he threw also a 2-inning save on Wednesday night against Georgia. So they've got big plans for this year to go late into June. They got to have their best guy in the pen ready for them.
0-2 on Waddell. And he yanks this down the line. More extra bases for the Jackets. Another run comes in. Waddell cruises into second with the double. 10-8, and the bat's starting to ring out for the Jackets in the bottom of the 7th.
What a good piece of hitting right there. An 0-2 mistake. Breaking ball in the middle of the plate. Didn't try to do too much with it. Veteran approach and double down the line for his second hit of the day.
This all coming after Spires struck out Radcliffe to begin the inning. Back-to-back singles by Hall and Austin Wilhite. Webb with an RBI double off the wall. Wilhite followed him with a 2 RBI double, and now it's Waddell's turn for a 2-bagger. Goldberg 2 for 4. First pitch swinging, launches it in the air. Sharp sprinting, and he runs out of room.
You got to figure eventually somebody's going to throw 0 up there, but at this pace, you don't know. And Denny Hall's enjoying this, but he's also thinking, can we get 6 more outs? I'd love to have some more runs if what he's thinking in that dugout. Get us to 3 or 4 runs here, a little cushion with 6 outs to go.
This one skied into the sunshine. Sharp is over, so is Green from second. He windmills the arm, makes the catch. 2 outs.
Tough play right there in the sun.
You ain't lying. So Waddell stays at second base, but it brings up the 8th batter of the inning, McCann. With Tristan English unavailable, the likeliest candidate to close, and we may see him as early as this next inning, is Micah Carpenter, who has 12 appearances, a 4.2 ERA, and he earned his first career save against Virginia Tech last weekend. The intentional walk to McCann. So you put another base runner on, but you do set the right-on-right matchup with English. Tristan English flew out to center his first encounter with Spires. And also had a 2-out, 2 RBI single in the 5th against Holt Jones. May not be able to come on in relief, but he can certainly supply some insurance for the Yellow Jackets. The 2-time All-American. Now time called and Monty Lee comes out. As lefty and a righty both warming.
Walking rather slowly to give his guys some extra throws to get ready.
Gunslinger's walk by the former head coach of the College of Charleston, his 4th season with the Tigers. And a new pitcher, we'll tell you about him coming up after this. Clemson scored 2 to take an 8-6 lead going into the bottom of the 7th. Georgia Tech has roared back with 4. 10-8, Jackets on top of the Tigers. They'll face a new pitcher. It's the right-hander Owen Griffith, the junior from Aiken, South Carolina.
Really has a good breaking ball, can pitch off of that. Last 2 outings he's shown signs of throwing the ball very, very well. Then right at the end of it with two outs has suffered, giving up some 2-out hits and walks that have led to some runs being scored.
Yeah, I see 16 walks across 21 innings. They'll face the cleanup batter, Tristan English.
As you can see, a lot of swing and miss there. 29 strikeouts and more strikeouts than innings pitched.
Four runs on 5 hits for the Jackets in the bottom of the 7th. Tristan English. And that 2 RBI single in the 5th. Earlier this year, he became the first Yellow Jacket since 2001 to hit for the cycle. He did that versus North Carolina. His last hit to complete the cycle was a home run. Doesn't offer at the first pitch, and that breaking ball snapped off for a strike. Fly ball, deep right center. Teodosio sprinting after it, and it's off the wall and over the wall. Jackson Webb narrowly missed a home run early this inning. Tristan English did not.
What an offensive display by the Jackets today. Extending the lead here. 7 runs, 7th inning.
Home run number 10 for Tristan English. Pitch that seemed to be left up by Griffith, and this is what English did.
Knew the scouting report, knew breaking ball was coming. Not very well executed breaking ball, but give him a lot of credit. Really hit that ball well. And now it's a 5-run lead, 13-8. Coach Hall might be a little more relieved now with that lead.
We talked about English not being available to close things out, but a 3-run homer, give your team a 5-run lead. Certainly helps reduce the heartburn of Danny Hall from not having him available. Baron Radcliffe struck out to begin this inning. A 7 spot for the Jackets in the 7th. And as you've seen, both teams have thrown up some crooked numbers today. And still 6 outs for the Tigers to work with. Radcliffe had a home run himself. That came to lead off to second. Eight runs, 13 hits, no errors for Clemson. 13 runs, 13 hits, 2 errors for Georgia Tech.
But we've been talking all weekend about the special aura around this Georgia Tech team. Just they don't beat themselves, and do a great job of situational hitting.
A wave and a miss. Ball bounces away from Wilkie. He will not have a throw. So Radcliffe, despite the strikeout, is able to reach. You know, let's go back to the strategy that Clemson employed where they intentionally walked Kyle McCann to bring up Tristan English, put in Griffith. And obviously that maneuver by Monty Lee is one he'd like to have back.
Well, you know, it's probably I think he would do it again in a heartbeat because you've got one guy in the lineup you don't want to let beat you. He's already got 16 home runs.
Yep.
Wind blowing out to right. He's already showed he can hit a home run yesterday. That's the right baseball play, and bringing the righty to face a righty, a good breaking ball there. Just he hung it, and you know, sometimes it comes down to just executing. You know, it comes down to the guy in the box executing and the guy on the mound executing.
Bouncing ball out to short. Davidson waits, and Green races over in front of the slide of Radcliffe to do it for the Jackets in the 7th, but not before 7 runs come across. Top of the order, do it for the Tigers. They trail by 5. Clemson with 2 in the top of the 7th. Georgia Tech 7 in the bottom half, and the Jackets have the 5-run lead. Georgia Tech goes to its bullpen and a guy who has spent most of the last month and a half as a midweek starter, Amos Willingham, making his 12th appearance, an ERA of 4 for the junior, who last appeared April the 16th versus Auburn, going an inning in the 3rd and allowing 3 earned runs. There was some thought that Danny Hall might have to use Willingham as his number 3 starter this weekend. Brant Herter, their typical Sunday starter, only lasted 2 2/3, and Blacksburg had some forearm tightness. They continue to evaluate him throughout the week, so this might be the first sign that Herter is good to go for tomorrow. Willingham, just his 4th relief appearance. Both Danny Hall and Monty Lee have been desperate for a scoreless inning, hung by their pitching staff. Might have come from Willingham, a veteran.
And again, that might have been a nail in the coffin, but don't expect Clemson's offense to roll over right here at the top of the order coming up. 5th time through, 8th inning, 5-run game. Seen stranger things happen before, especially at this park.
Now the Tigers have scored a run each of the last 3 innings. And 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th.
And again, if, as a pitching coach here, you're saying, hey, it's okay if they hit you, but make them earn it. Make them throw it over the plate. Make them earn those 5 runs if they're going to come back.
First pitch swinging, elevated into medium center. Should be no problem for Will Hyde, 1 away.
Yeah, 1 pitch, 1 out. Just what the doctor ordered if you're Coach Hal, pitching coach for Georgia Tech.
Shortstop, number 8, Logan Davidson.
Willingham has starts in ACC play. Earned the start April the 5th versus North Carolina. His finest outing of the season might have come in a starting role versus Georgia at home, as he twirled 6 1/3, allowed 6 hits but only 2 earned runs with 8 strikeouts against the number 4 Bulldogs. Logan Davidson 1 for 3. Had an RBI fielder's choice his last time up. Whacks it off the plate, 1-1. And you can get a guy like Logan Davidson who can give you, 12 home runs as a shortstop. There are a lot of scouts who are scribbling furiously when they check out his numbers. Pulls this past the dive of English. Cut off by Radcliffe, a 1-out base hit by Davidson.
And you see where English is playing there around the line, the no doubles defense right there in the 8th with 5 outs to go to win the game there. But he just continues a long line of good shortstops. I mean, there's a lot of good players that played both these programs. I mean, before Davidson was Tyler Krieger, who I played with, who's in AA with the Indians, and Eli White also, who's with the Rangers now in AAA. So just a lot of great players on both these programs.
We have some breaking news meanwhile. Grayson Bird did not swing on the first pitch. It's worked for him, as you can see. 2 home runs. They both came on first pitch ambushes. 7 home runs on the year now for Bird. And he's ahead in the hitter's count, 2-0.
You think Willingham would sit down there in the bullpen during the game and said, you know what, if I get in there, boys, I'm not going to throw him first pitch strike.
Yeah. If he wants to swing,
he can.
By all means, but I'm going to throw this well out of the zone. 2-1.
There's plenty of those conversations that go on when you don't think you're going to the game. Then finally you get tested when you go in there.
Willingham's first relief appearance since March the 10th when he went in a third of an inning at Miami. That was Georgia Tech's opening ACC series. Paints the outside corner, 2-2. Willingham played at Snead State Community College, originally from Somerville, Georgia, stands 6'4", 217. Bird, after those home runs in the third and fifth, flew out to the warning track and center in the sixth. He has been seeing the ball well. His first time up against Willingham, he makes contact. Boy, he took that right out of McCann's mitt.
Really show you how well he's seeing the ball right now. 2 pitches, 2 home runs, then with 2 strikes, they're really letting for the ball get deep on him and hitting it at the last second to foul off a tough pitch to handle there with 2 strikes.
Son of a major leaguer, Paul Bird, who was at Russ Chandler Stadium last night watching his son. Pops it foul to stay alive. Well, Clemson going into the 8th inning last night, Matthew, they were trailing by 4. It was 8-4. They scratched a run across in the 8th, 2 in the 9th, had the game-tying run on base before Tristan Inglis struck out the final batter. Another 2-2, well outside.
Again, even though it's a 5-run lead, these outs are at a premium right here. The last 2 innings.
Bird's first career home run came 2 years ago at Russ Chandler Stadium. He's hit safely now in 6 straight games. The 3-2 from Willingham. In the air, down the line. Oh, watches it drift out of play.
Again, good battle right here between both guys. Willingham and Bird both not willing to give in. See which one blinks first.
Ball forward. Might have hit Bird.
Hit him.
Yep. Takes his base regardless, and Clemson in business now. Second hit batter by a Georgia Tech pitcher today. It brings up the cleanup batter, Kyle Wilkie, for Bird. His 3rd time reaching base. 6th time he's been hit by a pitch this year.
Again, 2 guys on. Got the 4 and 5 hole batters coming up, 2 of the hottest guys in their lineup. Good place for Clemson to be in right here, even though you're down 5.
Wilkie's 2 for 4. 4 for 9 this weekend. Overhand breaking ball drops in for a strike. Wilkie homered last night, just his 2nd long ball of the year. Not often you see a cleanup batter with only 2 home runs on the season. On that .270 average for Monty Lee. Have to be tough-minded if you're primarily used as a starter, such as Amos Willingham, to come in a late-inning relief role in a conference game.
Yes, being a young player, young pitcher, you just want to have innings and meaningful innings. So I'm sure he's eager to be out there on a weekend spot like this.
Rounded out to short. Waddell, the shovel, the turn, double play, inning over. A scoreless top of the 8th turned in by Amos Willingham. 13-8 Jackets. Now, for the first time since the bottom of the 4th, we have witnessed a scoreless half inning. Clemson had 2 on with 1 out, but then Amos Willingham induced the 6-4-3 double play to Kyle Wilkie. Remains a 13-8 Georgia Tech lead. Tech trailed 8-6 going into the bottom of the 7th before 7 runs, highlighted by the 3-run Tristan English homer. Clemson team that is desperate to snap an 8-game ACC losing streak, avoid falling below 500 in conference play. Austin Wilhite leads things off for the Jackets. Wilhite singled and scored as part of that 7-run seventh. Griffith is still on the mound for the Tigers. Of course, we've gone down your resume, Matthew, throughout the broadcast. ACC Pitcher of the Year, ACC All-Academic as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. That was a big deal in my family, both my teachers being teachers. So being a good student was a big deal, and then going to a program with Coach Leggett where there was no excuses. It came to the classroom. And the guys that put their best foot forward in the classroom usually are the same ones that put the best foot forward on the playing field, too.
There's the 1-1 to Wilhite. And square up that breaking ball from Griffith. So you've been to pretty much every ACC ballpark. What was your favorite place to pitch outside of Kingsmore Stadium?
You know, I'm kind of biased. I like the places that are easier to pitch in. You know,
hey, at least you're honest.
This is a great place to play. I never really enjoyed pitching here because it's such a hitter-friendly ballpark. But I really enjoyed the atmosphere here. Some of the atmosphere is my favorite. Florida State, with the crazies up there behind home plate with Coach Mike Martin there. And then Virginia, when I was coming through there, Virginia had 2 national championship finalist teams. That was a great place to play. North Carolina's fun. North Carolina had a team, my first ACC start. I pitched a midweek game. I finally threw 5 innings, kind of a Tommy John surgery the year before. And I pitched on a Wednesday, then came back and pitched on a Monday. And they were 34-1 at the time.
Only 34-1?
Yeah, and I called my dad. I said, what are you doing on Monday? We were leaving on Thursday, and I said, what do you mean? I said, what are you doing on Monday? He said, I don't know. I said, well, you need to come watch me pitch. I'm pitching against the #1 team in the country. He said, oh, Lord, I hope you're ready.
When he said, oh, Lord, did that inspire a lot of confidence in you?
Yeah, I was like, come on now. He said, you sure you're ready for that? I said, I hope I am.
Gee, thanks, Dad.
But another good swing there.
Yeah, fly ball Wilhite. It'll hit the parachute just shy of the track, 1 away.
But
who was the toughest hitter in the ACC that you can recall facing? And I know you've faced a lot of tough ones. You had mentioned when we were talking about this off air, Daniel Polk of Georgia Tech was one of them.
Yeah, he was a tough out. He was a tough out for me. Probably the one I faced the most was DJ Stewart at Florida State. He was very tough because he was a shorter guy that got down in a squatty position and put his back foot right on top of the plate there. And
so that strike zone
and he just
was
dove
about
in.
the size of a license plate.
Yeah, and he was he got the courtesy Ted Williams call. If you threw one inside, that was over the plate.
Ooh, that ball might have been lost by Sharp. Straight over his head. Webb instead churns for second. Webb runs through second. He's looking for a triple, and he gets one.
A great effort right there by Webb to run that one into a triple there.
Now, hard to tell if Sharp, had he timed his jump, would have been able to rob this. But you can tell by this little flinch, maybe lost that ball.
Yeah, I think the sun's pretty bad over there this time of day. Even had his sunglasses on, I couldn't see it. But to answer your question there, I mean, he would go over the plate so much, and you throw one in, and you go 2 in a row that probably hit the corner, because if they didn't hit the corner, they would have hit him. That's how close he was to the plate. And you get 2-0. It's kind of hard to get a face. But there's so many great players like Trey Turner at NC State. Faced him 2 years in a row. Will Craig at Wake Forest. Wake Forest had some good teams when I played. He was AC Player of the Year. He hit like 28 home runs.
You talk about a hitter-friendly ballpark.
Oh,
that
Wake
one in
Forest.
Winston-Salem.
Yeah, I only pitched there once. That was not one of my favorites either.
Infield pulled in for Nick Wilhite. Doubled and drove into pairs last time up. A bit high, 1-1. Lashed foul by Wilhite.
My sophomore year, Daniel Gossett, Goose, who has made his appearance in the A's for the A's in the big leagues 2 years ago before he had Tommy John. He was our Friday night guy my first 2 years, but halfway through the year he had a problem and had to sit out for a week because of his shoulder. And so I started the week against NC State, and for the rest of the year I pitched on Friday night. And the matchups that I faced were just unbelievable. I faced Rodon the first week, who ended up being the 3rd overall pick that year.
Yep.
And the next week was Nathan Kirby, who was AC Pitcher of the Year that year. Then the next week was Diaz from Miami, who he was like 15-0 in the year. Then it was Pat Connaughton from Notre Dame. And
he's a pretty good baseball player, but it turns out an even better NBA player.
And I can't remember the last one, somebody else. I had 5 straight weeks. I beat Rodon. They did really well, like 8 or 7 innings, no runs or 1 run. And then the next 4 weeks I gave up 2 or less, and I lost 4 games. So that kind of speaks to the depth of the conference.
Backdoor breaking ball freezes Wilhite for a big second out.
Number 7, Luke Waddell.
And I credit a lot of that to how I pitched the next year in ACC play. And on Friday night, being the guy on Friday night, having to face guys that had much better stuff than I did. But just the willingness and being there before, that's a big deal. I think that's something for like a Davis Sharp that like a Curry has learned over the years.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that experience being on a Friday night his whole career. It's going to benefit a guy like a Davis Sharp later in his career too.
Out comes Monty Lee, top of the order, and Waddell is up next. And a new arm making his way out of the Clemson bullpen. Webb with the triple. He's parked at third. 2 outs. Georgia Tech up by 5 here in the 8th. Left-hander up next for the Tigers. That's Jacob Hennessy. 3.9 ERA across 27 in the 3rd innings. Nice job by Owen Griffith after giving up the triple by Jackson Webb. Rang up Nick Wilhite, even with that infield drawn in. And Hennessy will try to pick up where he left off and keep this a 5-run margin for the Tigers.
Looking to give his team a boost here and get him back in the dugout, throw 0, and give him a chance here in the top of the 9th coming up. Do some big innings for them last year as their Friday night guy predominantly throughout the year. This year's been more of a bullpen role and spot starter, so looking for a big out here against the lefty.
Waddell has respaced his last 3 plate appearances, a single, a double, and a walk. Shortstop Luke Waddell batting .400 this year with runners on. Slider is smothered by Wilkie. Waddell on the Brooks Wallace Award midseason watch list, even though only moved over about midway through the season. He and Austin Wilhite swapped spots up the middle. Another slider framed up by Wilkie, 1-2.
2 good breaking balls right there from Hennessy.
Clemson has 5, 6, and 7 due up in the top of the 9th. Back half of their order, though, has done a nice job getting on.
Again, the complaint has not been their defense or their offense today. It's been the pitching staff's woes since the 5th inning on. Really, the bullpen there.
Yeah.
And no easy way to put it besides that.
And Clemson, after committing 3 errors last night, none today, though there was a drop on a transfer of a potential double play that allowed a run to come across for the Jackets. Tied the game at 6 in the 6th inning. Webb is over at third base, by the way, and Jackson Webb, who was hitless last night. A single, a double, and a triple. Another 2-2. Dips out of the zone. You can tell, though, that is a very tempting bender by Jacob Hennessy.
Yes, you'll get swing and misses when you can prove that you can throw it for a strike, and he has so far. That one's just a little bit too far off.
Routed sharply, but backhanded by Green from the edge of the grass. Gets out Waddell, keeps the Jackets off the board despite the one-out triple from Webb. We move to the ninth. Georgia Tech 3 outs away from the series win. 13-8 they lead. We'll be back in Atlanta after this. Andy Demetra, Matthew Cronover. We move to the ninth. 8-14-0 for the Tigers. 13-14-2 for the Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech using a 7-run seventh to reverse a 2-run deficit. Amos Willingham will try to record the final 3 outs. He has Hawkins, Green, and Sharp due up for the Tigers. They've gotten ahead every inning except the first. So they have been a resilient group at the plate. They need to find 5 runs. Tristan English would normally come on to close things out for the Yellow Jackets. As we told you, not only earned the save versus Georgia on Tuesday, 40 pitches last night. Now patrolling first base as the first offering from Willingham is in for a strike.
But what good experience for Willingham, for a young guy that gets some experience on the weekend in a meaningful role here. Be great for you regional time and super regional time.
Hawkins behind 0-2. Was hit by a pitch and scored in the 7th, but a hitless afternoon so far for the freshman. That puts his 11-game hitting streak on the line. Not only had an 11-game hitting streak, he entered today 18 for his last 20. That's hard for anybody to do at any level, let alone a freshman with a lot of those at-bats coming in the ACC.
It's a pretty good stretch right there. Now, it was interrupted with a little injury, but it's a pretty good stretch.
Ground ball to short. Takes a hop conveniently to Waddell. 1 out.
Good play, keep his feet moving, playing the ball right off his left foot right there. Great throw.
Second baseman, number 9, Jordan Green.
Waddell has been active at short today. So 1 away for Jordan Green. Might not come in a victorious effort, but Jordan Green has a lot to take away from positively today. Green with 3 hits, including an RBI double in the 7th. Willingham continues to pound the zone.
Really been a bright spot for this team. I mean, there's been a lot of hitters that have had good days between the last 2 days for Clemson. You just got to keep playing.
Green's batting average has jumped 21 points today. Stepped into the box for his first AB at 211. Got his final season at Clemson. Certainly wants to end with another postseason appearance.
Good hack right there. Willingham again 1 pitch away from the 26th out.
First appearance in 11 days for the junior. He has been feeding strikes as he delivers the 1-2 to Green. Georgia Tech 2 outs away from its 7th consecutive ACC series win. Strike 3 right down the middle.
Throws Green there with a fastball inside. Very good pitch. Good execution.
Take a look at it again.
First baseman, number 30, Amos Sharp.
Knee high down the middle. Believe it or not, that is Clemson's first strikeout since the 6th. Brings up Davis Sharp, the first baseman. He's 1 for 4. First pitch tomorrow, scheduled for 1 o'clock. And again, with the appearance of Willingham, who was held out of his typical midweek starting slot versus Georgia on Tuesday because of the possibility of needing him to start tomorrow. Him on the mound right now obviously means Georgia Tech's Brant Herter is good to go for tomorrow, so we believe, after he was pulled prematurely from his start last weekend because of forearm tightness. A ball and 2 strikes to Sharp. Bouncing ball up the middle, Will high ranging. plants and fires, and Georgia Tech takes game 2 of this series by a count of 13-8. It was back and forth in the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Clemson had the 8-6 lead, but then the floodgates opened for the Jackets after the stretch. 7 runs, including the 3-run game-breaking homer by Tristan English, his 10th of the year, and Georgia Tech has a 7th straight ACC series win. Jackets moved to 30-13, 15-8 in the ACC. Clemson falls to 26-18, 11-12 in the ACC. Matthew Cronover, your closing thoughts today.
Big innings for Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. In the 5th with four runs, and the 7th with 7. The difference in the game, and they're getting greedy tomorrow and going for the sweep.
Now 27 hits over 2 games for Clemson, but now trying to salvage a win tomorrow at 1 p.m. We'll see it for first pitch at Russ Chandler Stadium. So for Matthew Cronover, I'm Andy DeMatra saying so long from Russ Chandler Stadium. Our final score, Georgia Tech 13, Clemson 8. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live on the ESPN app. To watch this entire game on replay as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN. Have a great night, everyone.